Good afternoon and welcome everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday to each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but hey, if you missed something, go back, get caught up at your leisure as we'll post it. All 3 hours of it, in fact, both the iTunes and our own audio vault. Of course, when you listen on iTunes, rate, review, share with your buddies, your pals, so that they can learn about the show. Email us if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. On Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. WTSM app, good for mobile devices. Doesn't matter where you are, you can always listen using the WTSM app. YouTube, Periscopers, good to be with you as well. All right, the formalities out of the way. Florida State has a new head football coach. I was there yesterday, obviously, along with some really happy boosters and other assembled media there in the Champions Club to welcome in 38-year-old Mike Norville from Memphis to Tallahassee. He becomes the next head coach, and no doubt the resume is one that draws attention right off the bat. Obviously, he's been very successful at Memphis since taking over for Justin Fuente. A couple of things about that, by the way, right off the bat. Now, Justin Fuente, who's currently the head coach at Virginia Tech, you guys know that, turned Memphis around. Memphis had been the pits of college football. They were terrible. And Fuente got there, and it took a little time, but in pretty short order, he got that turned around. I believe his final season, they won 9 games, went 9-3. And so when Norville takes over, he's 34 years old. At the time, I believe he was the youngest head football coach in college football. So he's ascended quickly through the ranks. You know, a guy who had coached under Todd Graham at Tulsa, had been with Gus Malzahn there, and had started out, he played wide receiver, did Mike Norville, at Central Arkansas. So there's a guy that, has played football, and then he immediately starts kind of helping out as a grad assistant, then later on as a receivers coach, and he builds his way up. I'm saying all that to say this. He's obviously identified as a smart guy because quickly he rises through the ranks and becomes not only a co-OC, but a recruiting coordinator, and he's gaining responsibility at an awfully young age, right? So much so that he's asked to go with Todd Graham to Pitt, right there. So he's been around. He ends up at Arizona State, obviously, and then he becomes the Memphis coach as he is 34 years of age. And that doesn't happen if you haven't shown some real bona fides. If you haven't shown an acumen for the game, obviously, and an ability to teach it and implement coaches' game plans and to obviously improve the players under your guidance. So what I wanted to look for was, did he just sustain a Memphis program that Fuente had flipped into something that was now not only winning but moving towards being an annual contender for their conference championship? And the answer is he did sustain it, but he also improved it. And that can be shown if you're just looking at SP Plus and you look at some of these numbers and some of the things, the areas where they improved offensively and defensively every year he was there. You recognize that he improved upon the product, and he did so at a young age. And then he also did a real good job of assembling a staff that was routinely plucked from. And that's difficult, right? When you hire coaches, you identify a talent, you identify a guy that you think will better your outfit, and you bring him into the fold, and you succeed with those coaches. It's awfully tough if they keep getting snatched up by other organizations. They kept rising through the ranks themselves, some of whom became head coaches, some became OCs and DCs and things of that ilk. And so his coaches that he identified, that he brought onto his staff, were getting hired elsewhere. He has mentioned, he did yesterday in passing, but he also said it at various points in his coaching career, that he seeks to find folks that are rising stars in the coaching profession, guys that have ambition, that want to become head coaches themselves or coordinators, guys that are ascending or working hard towards something, you should want to have guys that are routinely being called by other universities. And he wears that, I think, as a badge of honor because he's had to replace he had to replace 20-something guys, 20-something different coaches in his short time as a coach. And to be able to continue to do that while sustaining a level of success the way that Memphis has is a real good sign. If you're trying to look for things that portend of better outcomes down the road for Florida State, and that's all I care about, then you'll like seeing a guy who's able to both identify and also then have to replace coaches who are moving on to bigger and better things. That means he's routinely interviewed and vetted those coaches and had an eye for those that could aid the program and could better his outfit. That's good. It's a good sign. You got to have that because we all know this. Head coaches matter. Coaching matters, obviously. But understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are and being able to surround yourself with those that do things better than you do in your areas of weakness are critical. You've got to identify the best people that make you look great as a leader. Certainly, that's true. You let those guys coach. You let them do what they do, and you get out of the way. Now, he's an offensive guy. Norville is going to be calling the plays. It's what he does. He's a play caller. So you might say, is Kendall Briles going to stick around? I don't think so. I don't believe so, no. Kendall Briles potentially could be the FAU coach at this point. There is some talk of that, and certainly he may be moving on elsewhere, but I would not think he would be retained. What do we know now? Well, initially what we do know is Kenny Dillingham comes over from Auburn, obviously, and that's the first move already that we've seen from our new head football coach.
Well, he's going to be the offensive coordinator, so if Kendall is retained, I wonder what position he would hold.
Right. So obviously Kendall won't be retained, but I'm saying just you look at these moves already and you realize, my goodness, he's not fooling around. He's getting to work quickly, and you have to. It's a day after he was announced the coach. Pete Thamel broke that originally on Yahoo Sports. Give him credit where credit's due. Of course, Dillingham worked under Norville at Memphis, also at Arizona State, and was this past year at Auburn with Gus Malzahn. He comes over now back reunited with Mike Norville. So Norville, though, I think certainly will be calling the plays, is my guess. So, yes, that's an OC, but by name.
He can help in recruiting and help with administrative
Big
stuff.
Big time.
There you go.
And he also can help in game planning and all that other stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
For Norvell's case, yesterday I was sitting here in the studio. I watched the video of the presser as we streamed it out live over the airwaves. I don't know if I like him yet, but I know what I like about him. He can speak in front of large crowds. I think we've established that.
Yeah.
And, when it was announced officially on Saturday night that the press conference was going to happen and it was all but, confirmed by the university that Norville was the guy. They didn't do so till Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
I thought these are such critical 48 to 72 hours for the university, for the program, because there's a lot of first impressions to be made, and Norville had to impress boosters. He had to impress the locker room. He spoke before the team, the entire assembled current roster, before he went across to Campbell and spoke to the boosters and the Florida State nation through the press conference video. But these first impressions are going to be critical. And the thing I liked about him the most yesterday was he turned the podium into a pulpit within about 10 minutes. It went from humbled and reserved to fiery, full of emotion. He conveyed that he cares about details and structure. He conveyed clearly he has a lot of energy, which he does. And those are the things that you need in order to get us from where we are right now to where we want to go. And I like about him that I think more people are going to be writing checks than they may have initially thought when the Norville hire was announced, because I know a lot of boosters were turned off by that, given that we were swinging for the fences, Renaissance letter. This guy did as much as he possibly could in 15 to 20 minutes to sway them back the other way, to say yes again to Florida State.
Yeah, he's as well thought of as there is amongst the young and up-and-coming coaches. I think if you speak to people in the profession, and I talked to a lot of different people yesterday, certainly we had a chance. I talked with Andy Staples from The Athletic. He has certainly interviewed Mike Norville and a lot of other coaches throughout the country as he covers them for The Athletic and before that Sports Illustrated. And, people build reputations pretty quickly in the industry, and no matter who you talk to, no matter how you reach out to who covers college football on the whole, they've been very impressed with Mike Norville. And you'd have to be, because you could not get to the place that he's at such a young age if you hadn't done some impressive things along the way and you hadn't made an impact both behind the scenes and obviously outwardly with your presentation, your vision, your focus, whatever your pitch might be. He has done those things. Now, he's 37-15 as head coach at Memphis, did a good job there. I think that, again, when you look at the ability to create big plays, he talked about this yesterday. He said that his is an offense for playmakers, and he was recruiting. He was pitching right then and there at the dais, trying to let people know, either on the current roster or others contemplating Florida State as a destination, you come to Memphis under me, and now if you come to Florida State under me, we're going to move the football, and you're going to be highlighted, and you're going to have an opportunity to make big plays, and your athleticism will be showcased. Memphis, in terms of creating big plays, when you look at the advanced numbers, explosive plays, they've been first, third, and first in the last 3 years nationally. Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, he can point to that. Obviously, those are numbers that don't lie. And again, they've continued to improve every year that he's been there. I think the thing is, whether you are in love with this hire or you hate it or you're somewhere in between and you're in a wait-and-see mode, which I think a lot of people will have to be, if only because we've been a lover scorned, if you will, and you want to buy into every new guy. I know everybody wanted to buy into Willie. I did, you did, and the assembled boosters that were just there yesterday were also there a couple of years ago, and they certainly wanted to buy in. I think that is the nature of these things when you're hurting and you've been left at the altar the way that Jimbo left the program and took his services to Texas A&M, you're want to latch on to anybody that says yes to you and says that they appreciate your traditions. And Florida State's, I think, presence in college football is a unique one, and you want people to recognize that, right? Well, certainly Mike Norville did that yesterday. He won the press conference. That's not the thing that necessarily gets me excited. What gets me excited, again, is his ability to recognize talent, to assess that, analyze that, focus in on the goals that he's created, find ways to win football games, see those coaches ascend, get replaced, and then continue that success. And he's been able to recruit at a place like Memphis where historically, it's very difficult to recruit. You're surrounded by SEC schools that come in and pluck your best talent. It's difficult to win there. And obviously, he has found a way, I think, through that passion, through those visions of what he believes to, those core values are. And certainly he talks a lot about service, which I think is important, toughness, all those sorts of things, and discipline, which right about now we're starving for, given what this football team has been. But these are no guarantees, as you well know. And I think really more than anything else, this will be about defining your terms, as I like to say. Because this is not a quick overnight fix. We fell victim to believing that before. Willie really made a big mistake. I think one of the greater missteps that really hurt his time here was setting the bar awfully high and expectations awfully high. He really did not recognize, I don't think, just how bad that offensive line was and just how much rebuilding there was to do. And so he said this wasn't a rebuild, that this was a quick fix. And on more than one occasion, he kind of alluded to that. And then when it didn't happen, obviously at that point, you've overpromised and underdelivered. So Mike Norville talked yesterday about recruiting is about relationships, and relationships take time. Planting the seed, my friend, letting people know that, when you anymore, the way things are set up now in college football with the early signing period, if you come into a new situation like this, as hurried as it now is, just due to time restraints, you really are starting behind the eight ball. You really are in a difficult position because now you're just trying to salvage a class. Now you're just trying to put together hodgepodge as quickly as you possibly can, a class that gives you a fighting chance, and you're putting together a staff. You are not going to be operating at peak efficiency when that is limited from a time standpoint. You've now done that twice. The early signing period hasn't been around very long, and we've already done it twice now. That means the attrition is pretty great. That means you've probably lost upwards of a class. So what's reasonable to expect in year one? Well, obviously, we're going to be closely monitoring what kind of transfers he's able to bring in, whether that be a JUCO or a grad transfer. What kind of, as you hire assistants, what kind of impact do they have on current recruits that they have if those assistants are working at other jobs? Obviously, Kenny Dillingham was at Auburn. You look at the guys that he's been tasked with recruiting. You see an offensive lineman in there, and you see a linebacker in there, and you see some guys go, "Ooh, I wonder if he can get those guys to come."
I see a JUCO offensive lineman.
That's right. And remember, when Pruitt came as our DC, Walker came with him, Ramsey came with him. Immediately we were, oh, okay, well, that worked out. You bring in a couple of guys that had a huge impact on our program. So you're going to get a couple of guys like that, one would assume, right? You're going to have an opportunity there. But it's not going to be enough to overcome the kind of upheaval we've seen here at Florida State over the last few years. So when you consider the schedule next year, when you look ahead at some of the things you don't have, I think that defining your terms will be important in deciding whether or not year one is a success, year two is a success, year three. We all want to win and win quickly. I just don't know how reasonable that is to expect at this point. Again, having to start over after just 21 games is not ideal. Even if you're in favor of the firing of Willie Taggart, even if you're in favor of moving on, and I think the larger percentage of my audience listening to this now certainly were in favor of that. Even if that's true, you still have to recognize that it's obviously not a sign of a program that is humming along. I mean, you've got real problems, right, if you're doing that. Doesn't mean it wasn't necessary. Just means that you're not, again, operating at peak efficiency. So I would guess that, next year you're looking at 6-7 wins. We can get into that at a later date. Obviously, today's maybe not the day to do that, but people want to know how quickly this program is going to be elite. Well, you're on the road at Boise. You got West Virginia. You're still not anywhere close to where Clemson is. There's enough pitfalls there where you could easily see this being a very difficult turnaround. Now, again, how big an impact will just being competent have? I mean, just knowing where you're supposed to be and what your job is. One would like to believe he'll assemble a staff to do that.
Yeah, we can assume that. I won't, though, because of what happened last time. I think it's going to work, but I'm not going to be hook, line, and sinker the way I was last time. I mean, this is the lesson. This is the legacy of Willie Taggart, I think, is from here to the end of time, as long as you remember this hire and the way it went down and the love fest that was December of 2017 all the way through kickoff of the Virginia Tech game to start the season. We were in love with the guy, and he could do no wrong. And then everything went wrong after that. So for me, I'm going to just approach this completely neutral as far as expectations, as far as, buying into the person. I know what I like about him, like I said before. I know what I like about him already. We'll see if he can rise to meet the task, because the task is great here. It got harder in the last 2 years to be the head coach here. Well,
and if you're looking for that kind of growth that gives you hope, you look at. So if you guys are fans of Bill Connolly, the system that he kind of set up. A lot of people look at those advanced analytics and they'll look at SP plus ratings, right? And you're looking at those kinds of things, and those are components where you get through. You look at efficiency, explosiveness, field position, finishing drives. You're looking to see that improve over the course of time if you're looking for a coach who's building upon their successes and then adding to it. And for Memphis in his time there, under Norvelle, they were 49th his first year, 42nd his second year, 36th his third year, and 13th this year. Taking steps forward each year, but if you look those first couple of years, it's marginal. So that's just kind of where you're at this point.
I think one thing about his presser yesterday, and it's really hard to lose those. I mean, it's almost impossible to lose your introductory
press conference. Right, you ought to do a good job at that because people are yearning to hear the message anyhow.
I mean, but about halfway through his prepared remarks, it went to a different level. I mean, it went to politicians level or generals or whatever. He captured the room. I was really struck by that because I think it also matches the way this fan base feels about the program. It sounds like there's some anger underneath that energy.
Some edge.
Which is, well, how do we feel?
Yeah.
If we're not apathetic yet, we're still pissed. And so what he's saying sounds like what we're feeling. And I think that's why it really resonated for a lot of people yesterday.
Well, one thing that happens a lot of times, certainly, when you're flying on your way into something like that and you're sitting with administrators, they're going to talk to you about some of the key talking points to the fan base and the boosters in general.
He's already got that in him, though.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that was manufactured. What I'm saying is that the talking points about discipline and toughness and those kinds of things, that's who he is. I get that. If you guys are wanting to hear more from Mike Norvelle, if you haven't seen it already, whether it be on the message boards or on Twitter, you can find the podcast of him speaking to the AFCA last November. and it's about a 50-plus minute speech that he gives to the Coaches Association there, and you'll really get a sense of who he is and his core values and his form of leadership and what he believes and what he doesn't. And I think it's a great listen if you're trying to learn more. I tweeted out a link to an article as well, which kind of followed him in game preparation from last year, and you got a sense of who he was there in that article as well. It's a real good omen, I think, if you listen to his players, the players that basically gave him a standing ovation in the locker room when he told him he got the job at Florida State, but he became very emotional because he loves those guys and asked, in essence, could he, if they would have him, he'd be happy to coach them in the bowl game. And, we'll see if that happens or not.
I hope that's an empty gesture.
I would just
say
waste
your time with that.
I would just say this. I don't mind if he coaches the game. I would mind if he's there preparing to coach the game. Let your assistants do that, and you be here doing what you need to do and then fly in and coach the damn game. You don't need to be there those 15 days. Now, that said,
every hour, every minute is critical. Brick by brick, isn't that what he said? Hey, man, we're not missing some bricks over here.
Scott Frost stuck around, although he hasn't had any success at Nebraska, but he coached there at UCF at the end. Now, a lot of these coaches do that. But anyhow, here's all I'll say is again, whatever those expectations might be, I'm fascinated by it because I think if you polled Florida State fans right now, that would be a pretty disparate bunch. I think there are people who just believe that this conference is poor, and it certainly was this year. This brand of the ACC was not appealing. They would say, well, in a conference like this, if you have discipline and structure and focus and all that stuff, and you're able to competently put together game plans and guys know where they're supposed to be, then you can back your way into 6 wins, Jeff. So God forbid you win a game you're not supposed to, and you got 7 wins. Okay, fine. But if you're talking about 9 wins or something like that, no way, no how. Ain't going to happen. And if it does, then we hired Jesus yesterday. Good. Because that's not happening.
He certainly spoke like somebody who would extol the virtues of Jesus.
Yeah,
right?
He sounded like a preacher or a politician. Mm-hmm. Often one and the same. So there you go.
Well, typically preachers and politicians know how to get things done behind the scenes to make sure the community at large is benefiting, right? Right?
That's the
Let's
idea.
hope the FSU community is benefiting.
Florida State succeeded on the hardwood, gets an ACC win. There is something to talk about there. I'm not going to overlook it. I'll talk about it momentarily. Of course, the college football playoff is set, and a whole lot of conversation about Mike Norville and Florida State's football program and where we're headed from here. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Go to ESPNTallahassee.com for tournament information and to sign up your team right now. This year, we have up to 20 teams available, so come join us for a fun night of bowling that supports the children of the Guardian Ad Litem. Big thank you to this year's sponsor, Tri-Eagle Sales, who reminds you to enjoy responsibly this holiday season. We'll see you Friday, December the 20th.
Holiday traditions. They're what make this time of year so special for so many. The honey-baked ham is one of those holiday traditions. If it's a spiral sliced honey-baked ham with the delicious glaze with sweet spices roasted to tender perfection, or a boneless sliced turkey breast that is smoked or roasted, your family will thank you. Call to reserve your ham or turkey at 205-1426 or visit us online at myhoneybakedstore.com/Tallahassee.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
You can't protect against everything life has in store, but you can sure try. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, we help you protect your investment with regular maintenance options that can keep your system safe. Receive same-day service when you sign up for the Total Comfort Service Program at baranoac.com. Florida license number CAC 1816186.
One of my favorite things about being a member at Orange Theory Fitness is the sense of community. Initially, after taking the tour and seeing the state-of-the-art equipment, I was intrigued. I became convinced even once I researched the science-backed, technology-tracked, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
Bowtime beckons at breakfast because of one big word, bacon. But not just any bacon. Our big, buttery Bojangles Biscuits are bursting with a bounty of bigger, better-than-ever bacon. But beware, this boon to bacon believers is so breathtaking, it leaves other biscuits bereft. Be gone with bad bacon and bring on a bold bouquet of flavor that makes butchers bask in its beauty. Get 2 fluffy, meaty bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits for just $4. Boom. Bojangles. It's bow time.
Hi, this is Peter Bond, owner of Jerry's Cigar Shop. Jerry's has been a local favorite for cigar enthusiasts for the last 25 years. We have the largest walk-in humidors in town, filled to the brim with an amazing cigar selection. Relax in one of our leather chairs and enjoy an ice-cold beer or a glass of wine with your cigar. Jerry's is a great place to watch sports on our big flat-screen TVs and offers a comfortable setting for lively conversation. Visit our original store on Scherer Road or our new second location on Cary Forest Parkway. We hope to see you soon.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard show on ESPN Radio.
Belichick has a plan. Very few people could see it. I could see it.
So putting the Ravens in a position to have home field, that's part of the plan?
Yeah, that is absolutely part of the plan. To make the Ravens feel like they are the favorites, that they're the best team in the NFL. And go ahead, I dare you to pick Lamar Jackson over Tom Brady, even with Brady on the road in Baltimore.
So the MVP,
AFC Championship game. I dare somebody to select the Ravens in that game. Dare you? Don't do it. I care about all of you.
The MVP of the league against a guy who, since week 4, is 30th in completion percentage, 31st in yards per attempt, and 30th in passer.
It's all a setup, man. It's to make people think that Brady's on the decline, and then playoffs come, and boom! Patriots-Niners Super Bowl. How about that? It's all part of the master plan.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
So we're all set, obviously. College football playoff. LSU to boat race Oklahoma. And the game that we all want to watch instead is, of course, Ohio State and Clemson. That's fun. Glendale, Arizona, Saturday, December 28th, 8 p.m. Opening line, Clemson -2.
Clemson all day there, man. They, the secondary for Virginia was no match, were they, for Mr. Lawrence's arm? Kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. The gulf between the remainder of the ACC teams and Clemson has only continued to grow in such a way that 62 points could be put up in a championship game for the conference.
Could have had a few more, too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely could have. Yeah, I can't say enough about what LSU did to Georgia there. That was a whole lot of come take your ass beating.
That was impressive.
Joe Burrow's really, really kind of like, yeah. That's gonna work.
There's one decision he makes in the game, and it's, they're ahead by a couple of scores at the time, but it's not quite the laugher it became. And Burrow goes through all 5 progressions and decides to just tuck it and run. And I'm thinking, oh, my God. This guy, because, I mean, the pass rush is kind of bearing down on him from different angles. So he climbs the pocket, takes a look, rolls right, takes a look. But he's looking for everything he possibly can to get the ball down the field. And he almost wants to pull the trigger on the last one. He says, you know what? No.
Yeah,
running for 8 yards is a better
yeah.
play. And it's just, I mean, if you're an NFL evaluator and you see that, you go, God, this guy, the game's so slow for him.
It looked that way at times, certainly. And, he played about as well as you can play in a conference championship game against a very good defense. For that matter, let's take it back to Friday night because this is what the Pac-12 does. Here you go. Here's your chance. It's gift wrapped for you. There's no way OU gets into the playoff with the way that they had to beat Baylor and a third-string quarterback in the second half if Utah wins. If Utah wins, takes care of business, they're in. They're going because OU's been middling for the second half of the season, and they look bad again in this game. And then Utah gets blown out.
What happens to every Pac-12 team?
Oh, my goodness
If you played
gracious.
it, you were smiling by the middle of the second quarter.
Yeah, 37-15 your final there, and Oregon gets out to a huge start. They looked like a team that was, playing with their hair on fire. I mean, they came out the gates. You talk about not feeling any pressure, and the other team feeling an awful lot of pressure, I think. And also Oregon, I think if I'm a Pac-12 supporter and I'm an Oregon fan, I'm all at once happy. I'm going back to the Rose Bowl. I'm Pac-12 champions, but I'm like, really? We can't play up-tempo when we're playing Arizona State, but we'll play up-tempo against Utah. Okay, I got you. Thanks for that loss. Needless loss.
Thanks for wasting Herbert's career would be one contention of mine, too.
It's just, it's amazing. I go back. I know the Bear talked about this on game day, Chris Felica, but he's right. I know after the game, Cristobal said they're not going to do it any different. Well, you need to have your head examined. Don't play Auburn to start the year in these neutral site games. Just go 11 or 12-1 and go play in the college football playoff. Play some other slappy, and then beat them like a drum and be done with it. Now, they outplayed Auburn that entire game and lost in the last second, but don't do that. Just play some soft-ass team and go 12-1 and go to the playoff.
We've got our conference schedule and our slappy schedule.
Yeah.
And that is the credo of Oregon Ducks football.
Or any of these conferences. They play an extra conference game in the Pac-12. You're more susceptible to getting beat because you play 9 of them. Don't add Auburn to your schedule, or anybody for that matter. Just play somebody you know you're going to beat and be done with it. They would be in the damn conference. They would be in the playoffs.
Yeah, if it was 8, they'd be in, and you could schedule it that way without fear, really. If you're good enough, you're going to make it.
But anyhow.
It's a shame. It's a shame to see that happen in Utah.
Listen, I don't care.
I hate it for him.
Well, I don't care one way or the other, although I like Oklahoma. Even I know what's about to happen here, and we see it every year. I don't need to see it again.
I don't know how they found themselves in a close game with the way that one started. They are steamrolling, baby.
Well, they're up 10-0. Yeah, they're rolling on.
But, you're watching the way the game is being played through a quarter and a half. You're like, oh, my God, they're going to win by 30. And then adjustments were made. Matt Rule shows.
It's a real good coach.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's.
And somehow they get by with, even their starting quarterback looked like ass. I don't even know how was that kid back on the field after his head hits the ground.
Oh.
I remember the old concussion doctor here.
Mm-hmm.
That used to do a little bit of work with the station, but he said, I don't worry as much about the helmet to helmet as I do the head hitting the ground.
The back.
Ground doesn't move.
Yeah.
So that's when you pull a kid aside, to begin with. That's one of the big red flags. He gets up and he's wobbly immediately.
I know.
And according to Holly Rowe, they ask him his opinion on how he feels.
Yeah,
That's it?
That sounds like a Jimbo move with EJ.
Are you kidding me?
How you feeling, buddy?
And then when he misses the open touchdown on the seam route, the next drive and Rule's screaming him down, the first thing I thought of, Christian Ponder. 4th and goal,
yeah.
Lonnie Pryor. Wide open,
my God, wide open, he spikes it, yeah.
Yeah, 9 feet short.
Yeah.
That's what that throw reminded me of, and little did we know, he'd be coming out of the game.
Yeah, well, we knew. He looked like he could barely see straight. That was crazy. I forgot about that play, but I just remember the EJ play where he's clearly concussed, and they're like, how you feeling, buddy?
Which one was that, Florida?
Florida.
Yeah.
Get back out there. Spin around and turn it over again. I will say that of the championship games, was there any moment there where you were kind of thinking to yourself, man, Wisconsin is playing awfully well right now. I mean, there's a little moment where you're kind of like, they're playing awfully well right now.
Well, they got the ball up 10-0, right? And the Ohio State
oh.
offense is doing diddly. Yeah.
They shut Wisconsin out in the second half, completely dominate the game. But
it's like, all right, Paul.
Oh, yeah, I was like, look at you. I did enjoy, I will say, I did watch the Memphis-Cincinnati game. I think we all did to some extent. Well, it was gut check time there at the end. Put together the drive you had to put together.
So I watched it with I couldn't believe this. What are the odds? But the friend I was watching it with was a Memphis grad. He was friends of my fiance.
Boom.
And we were watching the game, and I was picking his brain the whole time. Just little details about what he knows day to day. Because you know the warts, too, if you're a fan. And he's invested in watching Memphis football.
Yeah.
And I asked him, first off, I said, listen, man, I don't know how much stock I put into this, but a lot of people didn't like the stoicism from Willie Taggart. If we won, they would have been thrilled with it and said, wow, nothing ever phases that guy.
Well, right.
I said, so what's Norville like? He says, oh, he's going to break some bleep. If he gets mad, he'll break some stuff.
Good.
He's got no problem breaking stuff.
Everybody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
I like that. Most fans like that because football's a fiery game.
Well, and you've heard a lot about this, and he said it as much himself, did Norville yesterday. He finds a way to get involved in the community. And so people like that, the local
service
the local
is huge.
area.
It's a big part of his mantra.
Yeah.
Because of what it takes to serve another person. Obviously, you have to give of yourself, and this creates a mindset in terms of the guy next to you. This is a big deal.
Well, people view him as a citizen more than just the coach of the football team in town, and that's the way he resonated for Memphis.
Well, before we go to break, and I still have to talk FSU basketball there. It's a big win over Clemson, a great second half. Let me mention it. We got an email here to the inbox. Ryan emailed us, and he and his stepdad are big Memphis supporters and Florida State fans as well. And here's why. Hey, Jeff, you probably don't remember my stepdad and I. I met you at your listener appreciation party at the Corner Pocket to kick off the football season. I do remember you, Ryan. We were the two from Memphis and had a nice conversation about how you love to rip the University of Tennessee, which always makes us laugh. My brother currently plays for Memphis. And I can assure you that we made a great hire with Coach Norville. He is what we need right now. He is very detail-oriented and organized. At the very least, he knows we are allowed to have 11 players on the field, and on offense, he knows we have to have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. I just hope he realizes the mess he has to clean up. If he hires great assistants, which he has shown a great ability to do, and properly assesses the roster, he'll have us competing with Clemson in a few years. I know a lot of the fan base is disappointed with the hire, but that will quickly change. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years we have to worry about him going to the NFL. Well, those are just some thoughts from someone who has actually paid close attention to Memphis football over the last few years. Can't wait to hear your and Tom's thoughts on the show this afternoon. Go Noles and go Tigers. Regards, Ryan. So it's good you hear from a guy whose brother is currently playing for Memphis, and I do remember our conversation at the listener appreciation party. Ryan, thanks for emailing, and in this case, it's pertinent. Got somebody with inside information, a little bit about how that program is run, and for me, I can only imagine how many people felt relieved that the central theme of that press conference and talking points surrounding Coach Norville is attention to detail and organization. Good. Okay, good.
Did you get the sense that the boosters who were in attendance for this thing before Mike spoke were all in line, or were they swayed during his remarks and by the end of his remarks?
I don't know. I talked to a few, and I saw some former players there yesterday. I got there early. I actually saw him come into the building, into the Moore Athletic Center, and then walked around to the Champions Club to get back upstairs for the actual press conference. He came out with his wife and daughter and walked into the facility. And then obviously a little time later out onto the football field. But Corey Simon was there. Peter Bowler was there. There were several ex-players there. And I had a chance to chit-chat briefly and then also talk to other die-hard Florida State supporters. Let's put it that way. Yes, preeminent boosters. And I think they were excited. They were excited for the new path. I think they were anxiously awaiting to see what he had to say. Because let's face it, if you're a Florida State supporter and you follow this program on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and you're watching ACC and SEC football, maybe some Big 10, Big 12, Power 5 conference football, you're not spending a ton of time watching Memphis play. You're just not. The average fan is not invested to the point that they're watching Group of 5 teams on a regular basis. They're aware of those that are having success. Most people know by now that over the last 5 years or so, you've seen UCF really play at a high level out of that group of 5. You know that Cincinnati's been pretty consistent out of that group of 5, and you know that Memphis has. So you're aware of some of those teams that are in the mix, Miami of Ohio and teams like that are in the mix annually for a big-time bowl, especially for that tier of football. And I guess that you probably at some point when somebody's putting up numbers and they're consistently winning games, hey, who's their coach? Who's that guy? But these are cursory glances at guys that you're not following on a regular basis. So when you're in a hunt for a head coach, all of a sudden everybody is trying to investigate the possibilities. And so you're listening to every name that crops up. My guess is the vast majority of the people in attendance yesterday only began to learn of Mike Norvell's background and learn some intimate details about where he's been, his stops along the way, his various positions and successes and failures last week when his name cropped up as a real potential candidate to be the next head coach. My guess is a lot of people in attendance yesterday were really hoping for a huge splash hire in name, a significant name that they were aware of from the Power Five, like James Franklin, like Bob Stoops previously at Oklahoma, and that only recently did they begin to realize that that was fantasy, that those guys weren't coming, and that it was more likely a Mike Norvell, a Matt Campbell, or somebody of that ilk, and began to do their research. So yesterday was important. Now, he nailed it, but that doesn't mean this is going to work out. It doesn't mean it won't. It's just that a lot of people were waiting to see, okay, what's he like? What's his demeanor like? What's his disposition? How does he handle this situation? And he nailed it. He nailed it. Everything from thanking the right people, reflecting on his path to where he arrived there, having the proper respect, obviously, and reverence for a place like Florida State. Couple little anecdotal stories that kind of made you smile and laugh, and then the intensity of a taskmaster, of somebody that is disciplined and focused and has a vision for a program. He did all of those things. You should win these press conferences, as you noted in our first segment. You really shouldn't fail in your opening press conference. Most people are excited about you because they're coming off of a tough run. Anybody that walks through that door, as long as they're not disheveled and incapable of stringing together sentences, is going to, excite the fan base, I would think.
It's hard to lose. It's
hard
impossible to lose.
Well, it's
that.
not impossible. I mean, we've seen some people give press conferences like, "Oh my God, we're off to a poor start."
Yeah, but then there's vegetables being thrown at the committee, the search committee.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's not just the coach.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
This is your man.
This
man will lead people.
But I think a lot of people were certainly won over yesterday and very excited. I think most of the hardcore members of this fan base are like, "Yeah, he did fine, great." Did a good job at Memphis. We'll see. I mean, that's just where everybody's kind of at.
Yeah, I think for those that were on the fence, I think he might have gotten a couple of checks. He'll do very well on the booster tour. I know that much. He'll do well in team meetings, pregame locker room speeches. So the video people, we'll have a lot of stuff to put out. I just hope he's not an empty politician type. We'll see. We'll see. If he's got substance to him, we'll be fine.
Well, can he recruit and get down in the muck, make things happen?
That's the substance I'm looking for.
That's the kind of substance we're alluding to, yes.
Kick that thing.
It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Music, happy hour, and all-you-can-eat night specials, too. For membership information or to join right now, just call 850-942-4653. Southwood Golf Club is ready to make you a member. 850-942-4653.
I really need a new refrigerator, and I want to get the best deal. But there are so many options, I don't know which one to choose. I wish there was a way to make this simpler.
With so many choices, a major appliance purchase like this can be overwhelming. The City of Tallahassee helps make the choice simple by offering rebates on Energy Star appliances. You can receive up to $300 in rebates on refrigerators, clothes washers, and more. Are you thinking about purchasing and installing a smart thermostat to help minimize your home energy costs? With the city's rebates, you can get up to $100 off eligible options. Stack your savings this holiday season by coupling in-store deals with rebates from the City of Tallahassee. Visit talgov.com/YOU. That's talgov.com/YOU. Or call 850-891-4968 to learn more. That's 850-891-4968.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Employee Pricing Plus, only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. We haven't offered employee pricing for over 10 years, and it's back. Get some incredible deals, like a new 2019 Ram 1500, up to $14,000 off MSRP, plus 0% for 60 months on the 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. A huge savings only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Here's another, a new 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee, up to $4,000 off MSRP. A new 2019 Dodge Challenger SXT, up to $6,000 off MSRP. Buy one for only $26,999. During our Dodge Power Dollar sales event, Employee Pricing Plus, everyone qualifies. Going on right now, only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Visit us on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. Pricing on in-stock vehicles only, plus tax tag and dealer fee with approved credit. See dealer for details.
As sports fans, we all know this is the best time of the year. And the best places to catch all the action are at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and 7th Hill Tap Room. If you're a fan of an action-packed environment, the Corner Pocket is the place to be. Happy hour specials every day, including all day on Sundays, with sports in HD everywhere you look. For location hours and menu, head to cptallybar.com. Whether you're feeling the upstairs at the Corner Pocket or lounging down at the 7th Hill Tap Room, your game day is always covered. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, right next to Earth Fair.
Looking for a bit of cowboy flavor? Introducing Hardee's Southwest Patty Melt. A hearty sandwich with all the taste of the great American Southwest. We're talking a hotter, juicier, thick burger made with 100% black Angus beef, pepper jack cheese, zesty Santa Fe sauce, and enough pickled jalapenos to give it a kick. If it got any more authentic, we'd have to serve it with a cactus and a side of tumbleweeds. The Southwest Patty Melt. Now at Hardee's. Available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating Hardee's. Hotter and juicier beef patty as compared to the Hardee's original beef patty.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
This is Wesley's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
When I'm just getting off work, there's only so many hours left in the day, so I definitely don't want to spend all my time waiting in line for car parts. With O'Reilly, I can buy the parts I need online and pick them up on my way home. It's so quick and easy, I don't have to worry about losing daylight to get my car up and running.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Real quick here, I haven't mentioned it yet. Florida State's off to a good start, obviously, with the win against Clemson. But I do wonder, are we going to just constantly have to revert to playing small? Because when we play big, we just are really inefficient on offense. And, Ham had to do that again after a poor showing in the first half. We couldn't shoot. Now, we didn't really defend all that well to start the game. Obviously, Clemson came out and knocked down everything, and we adjusted and over time defended the three-point line better. But damn it, man.
They don't know yet. I mean, it's clear that they don't, but I'm glad to see yesterday for the first time in a handful of games against upper-level competition that we finished with more assists than turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the road at Indiana, we had 14 turnovers and 7 assists. Usually you're looking for the ratio to be above 1.
Sure, yeah.
And it was a pair of 13 and 7 turnovers to assist games in Niceville, even though we won both of them. But yesterday we started to make some shots from the perimeter, and you know what happens when you do that? It means the assist count goes up. It means you're moving the basketball, and you're being rewarded for it. So that was really nice to see, especially in the second half, that we were making some shots.
The whole game was the second half because we adjusted, obviously, changed the lineup, and then began to hit shots. As you just noted, we shot 60% in the second half. We were 11 of 18 trays, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. We turned it over just 6 times. We shut down Clemson from that point forward, too, who went 7 of 27 in the second half. That's under 26%. They were 3 of 14 from beyond the arc. So you want to talk about a tale of two halves. That's just – we flipped it on its ear. It's amazing.
It's 20-5 to start the second half. I mean, Polite is hitting everything in rhythm.
I know.
Right?
We were all laughing,
Patrick Williams hits a big shot.
Yes, he does.
Vassell had a couple of huge moments yesterday. He had the dunk when Norville was talking to the TV crew.
Mm-hmm.
But then he had a couple of blocks in the second half that were killer as well. So far, he's been a streaky player this year.
Very streaky.
If he's a little bit more consistent, I think we can count on some ACC wins against, teams that we're close to in the standings. But if he's going to have a cold night, we're going to be in trouble. It is good to see, though, that the 3-ball since the second half against Indiana is just starting to routinely fall for us, because I was wondering if we were going to be any good at it at all.
Well, yeah, and by the way, if Polite's going to hit 4 of 6 from beyond the arc, okay, then I guess maybe
in rhythm,
be,
too.
It's pretty something.
That was something else.
Kind of surprising. Vassell, as you mentioned, led the way, 14 points, 6 of 10 shooting, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, 9 boards, though, to go with it. That'll work. 2 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks, 2 of which, obviously, he embarrassed the offender.
That's what I'm saying. It's just,
I'm going to go ahead and pin that.
He's living above the rim yesterday. Yeah.
He can jump a little bit. MJ Walker had 11 points, 3 of 9 shooting, did go 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. Trent Forrest threw in 9 for us, 4 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from beyond the arc, another 3-point made shot from.
He did. He thought about it for a second, then he let it go.
He let it go. Malik Osborne added 5 with 6 boards and assists. Old Dom went scoreless. Polite had 12 points. Patrick Williams had 9 points, 3 of 6 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3. Balsa scored a basket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in tight in the first half, I think. Yeah.
So, and Raekwon Evans went scoreless. Got to get him going.
I mean, listen, the schedule is tougher because of the way we did the non-conference, but then also you're playing more ACC games, so there are fewer opportunities to cut your teeth. We do get a stretch here 3 in a row where we get just that. We play tomorrow night. Then we have USF and the Orange Bowl Classic on Saturday, and then one more tune-up, and then it's game time.
Then it's game time from there. Irashfel, warchant.com joins us next. Stay tuned.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Lasky.com for tournament information and to sign up your team right now. This year, we have up to 20 teams available, so come join us for a fun night of bowling that supports the children of the Guardian ad litem. Big thank you to this year's sponsor, Tri-Eagle Sales, who reminds you to enjoy responsibly this holiday season. We'll see you Friday, December the 20th.
Ho, ho, ho! The holidays are here, and the Florida Lottery has the must-get gifts of the season. Holiday Luck Scratch-Offs. They offer over 21 million winning tickets and more than $483 million in cash prizes. Wow! These are great!
Santa, where are you going?
Gotta get one!
Holiday Luck Scratch-Offs. Pretty much everyone's gonna want them. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket.
Claim it!
Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier, full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
One of my favorite things about being a member at Orange Theory Fitness is the sense of community. Initially, after taking the tour and seeing the state-of-the-art equipment, I was intrigued. I became convinced even once I researched the science-backed, technology-tracked, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Lane's Medical Shop has all of your home medical needs. They carry home oxygen, hospital beds, nebulizers, walkers, wheelchairs, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and all sleep apnea supplies. Lane's also has a weight loss clinic in-house, no appointment necessary, including B12 injections and any prescriptions necessary with the lowest prices around, and delivers to Tallahassee in South Georgia. Located only 40 miles from Tallahassee, go see Blake today, 210 West Main Street, Colquitt, Georgia, 229-758-9111.
GT Electric is Tallahassee's premier state-certified electrical contractor. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years, GT Electric offers a variety of electrical services for residential, commercial, and industrial fields, including upgrades, repairs, replacements, and installation. GT Electric also sells and services power generators for commercial buildings, homes, and construction job sites. Call them today at 421-9002. That's 421-9002. Or stop by gtelectricfl.com.
From the notebook of James Naismith to the halls of the Donald L. Tucker Center, the game of basketball has always been a Tallahassee fan favorite. The Seminole basketball team offers you the opportunity to become a bench warmer. You never know when your number's getting called. Fans now have the opportunity to purchase a $200 lower level season ticket and sit in a different seat every game. You could sit courtside as the Noles host North Carolina, Louisville, Virginia, Syracuse, Notre Dame, and Miami, and all for only $200. Purchase your tickets and become a bench warmer. Call 888-FSU-NOLE or visit Seminoles.com today.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com. Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady isn't going to blame the officiating for yesterday's loss to the Chiefs. Brady told the Greg Hill Show on WEEI 94.7 FM in Boston he doesn't ever make excuses, certainly never blames the referees. New England had one touchdown taken away on an incorrect ruling from the officials and could have had another TD on a fumble recovery had the play not been ruled dead. One of the issues for the Pats, the offense has struggled for stretches this season. Brady certainly misses the presence of a certain tight end, notes ESPN's Marcus Spears.
I can't help but go back to Rob Gronkowski because you look at all of the teams. Think about San Francisco with Kittle. Think about Pat Mahomes in this game with Travis Kelce. You think about how those guys operate when things are falling apart. They have a security blanket. Tom Brady doesn't have one. And the guys that he's trying to trust aren't showing up for him consistently.
Our Marcus Spears. From ESPN's Adam Schefter, Colts kicker Adam Vinatieri will undergo knee surgery and be put on IR. It could mean the end of the 46-year-old's 24-year NFL career. Bears linebacker Roquan Smith will miss the rest of the season with injury. Giants quarterback Eli Manning makes his first start since Week 2 against the Eagles. On Monday Night Football, Manning filling in for the injured Daniel Jones. Coverage 6 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. Despite a 5-7 record, Philadelphia still in the NFC East race, a half game back of the Cowboys. NBA Celtics forward Gordon Hayward went through today's shoot-around with the intention of playing tonight versus the Cavaliers. He's been out since November 9th when he broke a bone in his hand. Meantime, Celtics guard Marcus Smart listed as questionable with an eye infection.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Good Monday, everybody. Let's roll on Big River here as I'll bring in our good buddy, Irashfel, warchant.com. Of course, the website. He was there yesterday, as was I, taking in the press conference of Florida State's new head coach, Mike Norville. We'll talk to him in just a second. A reminder, we're online, ESPNTallahassee.com, obviously YouTube and Periscope as well, so you can watch the show. And you can email us, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Let's do it. Let's not wait around. Let's bring him in right now. Ira joins us. Hello, Ira. How the hell are you, buddy?
I am great, Jeff. How are you?
I, too, am doing great, Ira. I am pleased that we are moving on now to documenting whatever actions are taken by Mike Norville and his staff as he assembles it, and focusing more on football-related items with recruiting and the like. So, big picture, I know you wrote about it, warchant.com. Again, for folks who haven't, Ira's column, 321, on FSU's coaching hire is really good, and you should take it in. But let's talk for those that haven't seen it. What were your thoughts yesterday, your first impressions of the press conference that we took in yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, like everybody else, I was definitely impressed. It was not really what I expected from him because, over the last couple of weeks, I probably watched, 20 interviews with him from post-practice or press conferences or after games, and really didn't see that from him. He's always been articulate in everything I've seen, and obviously is a sharp guy, but you didn't really, I didn't sense that, that it was like a controlled aggression, that really came out of him. And that was one of my big questions, was would he be, charismatic enough to win people over, the fan base that I felt like would be lukewarm at best to hearing he was hired? And then how would he handle the room when he walked into the locker room? Because that's ultimately more important. And would he be able to win those guys over and make them realize that he's ready for this? Because those guys know it better than anybody. The guys in the locker room can see through it if the coach is not ready for that stage. And I think he went in there, and it sounds like just like he won over the press conference. I don't know that he won over all the players, but he at least shot his shot. He went in there and was direct and, showed his passion and his excitement, but also, I think he's letting them know he's going to challenge them as well. So, I think he did everything you could ask for on the first day, and, that's a good sign.
It is a good sign. It's also a good sign that it's a guy that's had to identify talent and find a way not only in recruiting to retain it there at a place like Memphis, which is awfully tough to recruit to, but also identify talent in the coaching ranks and bring them on staff and then lose those guys as they ascend up the ladder and then replace them. I think it bodes well if you're watching a guy try to put together a staff to know that he's done it and that even when he lost talented coaches, he was able to replace them and keep on winning.
Yeah, because what you can't, it's hard to write this because, nobody's ever going to talk about it. But, there are certain coaches that other coaches want to work with, and there's certain coaches other coaches don't want to work with. And, I think it's clear that he's a guy that I think young coaches especially see as he's going to help them in their careers. He's going to put them in positions to succeed. Just like he talked about putting playmakers in positions to succeed on the field, I think he's got a reputation for helping young coaches, achieve their personal and professional dreams. And then when you see guys come back, a guy like Dillingham or some of these guys that are also rumored to possibly coming to Tallahassee that he's worked with before, that's a really good sign because if somebody's willing to go back and work with somebody multiple times, and not just because they have to, but because they want to, they have other choices, but they want to. I mean, that's a really good sign to me. If that's how this plays out, and you've got 2 or 3 of these former assistants that went to other maybe Power 5 jobs and then come back to work for him, that's a better sign than probably anything we saw at the press conference.
I agree with that. That's funny. That's the number one thing that I thought when I went through all of that and I looked at the names of people that he's worked with that have moved on and done other things. I thought, man, those guys, first of all, everything you read about his background or anything that you may have listened to, he's a guy that wants guys like that. He wants ambitious people. He wants people that are willing to put in the work because they desire to move up the ladder in the coaching world. And he's okay. He's not afraid with that. He'll help promote you along the way. He wants that kind of ambition on his staff. And Lord knows we certainly want coaches here that other universities are going to tab because they recognize how talented they are. It's tough to lose guys, but it's nice knowing that if you do, you got a guy that's replaced him and done a good job of putting together a staff and finding consistency. And then I think from there, and in addition to all that, I think what was most intriguing, and I read this in your piece on War Chant, Ira, is that President Thrasher acknowledged that Mike Norvell's name came up a couple of years ago when they hired Willie Taggart. I had no idea about that prior to reading it in your column.
Yeah, I really didn't either until he admitted it. He was, President Thrasher is very candid, especially for a guy who's a politician, and is obviously image conscious. He understands how things are going to be perceived. I thought he was really candid about that, and the fact, and he admitted, he said, "Look, we should have spent more time on him and other candidates. That they rushed it 2 years ago, and he admitted they didn't do their due diligence, and he kept offering up. This is no knock on the last guy, but." Basically, he criticized their own search, and I thought the other thing that was really impressive to me was the fact that, in talking to, President Thrasher, but then also talking to Glenn Sugiyama, who did the search, that, Mike Norvell had other options, and I think he, as much as Florida State sought out him, I think he sought out Florida State.
Well, I thought it was intriguing that, the idea that they got an early start certainly aided in this process. And then they were able to talk to Mike Norvell during an off week, the same week that they fired Willie Taggart. That's how far back this went. And they were impressed with one another. And Mike Norvell was careful to bring that up several times yesterday in the press conference, not the meeting necessarily, but his fondness for Florida State's president and athletic director and really the team that put together this hire. He was very impressed by what he heard from them. So I think there was a lot of worry. I certainly had echoed some sentiments of worry during this search that the group that made the previous mistake, and hey, listen, I was for Willie Taggart, but it turned out we were all wrong. Those of us who were in that camp, most importantly, the ones who made the hire, turned out to be wrong. And I was worried about that, but it seems that they impressed our new head football coach here at Florida State pretty quickly upon the first meeting.
Yeah, and I think that he, again, I think when you look at Mike Norvell's decision to come to Florida State, and if we don't know for sure what other jobs he was offered, but there's talk that Ole Miss was interested and Arkansas might have been interested. The fact that he was so interested in Florida State tells me that he's betting on himself. That he thinks he can win championships at Florida State, because I don't think if you go to an SEC West job, you might make more money. But I don't think you're going to be set in one of those schools. I don't think you're going to be set up to make a run at a national championship or to really become that elite level coach. But I think at Florida State you are. The road is easier in the ACC. You get to recruit the state of Florida. But to me, that decision, and his interest in Florida State over some of those other jobs, to me, says a lot about him and his view of himself. Because, to me, it would almost be like a guy coming out of to the draft, an underclassman who says, you know what, I know I'm not going to be a first-round pick this year, but I know that second contract, just get me on a roster. And by that second contract, that's when I'm going to hit it big. I don't need to make the money up front, as opposed to a guy who's like, man, I need to make sure I get that first-round money because, I don't know what could be coming after that. And I just think that, whether or not that translates, we'll see. But again, I like that confidence.
Well, and when you talk about the timeline and how this was able to play out and confidence and so forth, you wondered how many desirable candidates Florida State would be able to draw from given the circumstance with an outgoing president, and presumably a new president would also hire his own AD. Would that be something that would scare young candidates like Mike Norville away? And President Thrasher talked about that and joked and said something to the effect of, I basically lied to him and said I'd be here for the next 5 years, which is funny. But he did acknowledge that was an issue and that he basically had to tell Coach Norville that, look, I'm going to be here next year for sure, maybe even a little bit longer than that. He's going to have to talk about it with the board, but he was able to find confidence in that and alleviate those concerns. So, A, we find out that President Thrasher is going to be here a little bit longer than maybe he wanted to be or anticipated being or that we expected. And B, that was enough for Mike Norville to bet on himself because he's betting that he will have shown enough progress in a short period of time that whomever comes in to take over from a leadership position would want to retain him and feel good about his presence as the head coach at Florida State.
Yeah, and again, I also think that speaks again to Mike Norville really betting on himself and feeling like, man, it doesn't have to be the guy that brought me in here for me to impress. That if there is a change and there's a new president, I'm going to win them over as well. But you're right. I mean, President Thrasher that was kind of interesting, his comment that, if he has to stay longer, he will, because to me, and I don't know for sure, but when he said that, the way I heard it, and I didn't get a chance to really clarify it because there were a bunch of other reporters talking to him as well, was I got the impression that, if things aren't going well after 1 year, it almost sounds like President Thrasher has kind of given him an assurance, look, I'm not going to leave you hanging out to dry. And if this isn't going well and you're concerned and you need me to stay in this position, we'll talk to the board and maybe I'll stay on a little bit longer. But I don't think that's what he wants to do. But conversely, if things are going great, which would be very impressive against the schedule that they've got next year. If things are going great, then maybe John Thrasher says, okay, great. We got things on course and it's time to move on. But the other thing kind of the fallback plan or the way I think he really assured him was, look, I am going to support athletics. I'm going to put in money to athletics. I know how important it is. And I know there's a fear that if you hire another president, that they may not feel the same way. And maybe they would be a little bit different with the financial support that they give to athletics. But, one of the things he pointed out was if you look at that board of trustees, almost more than half of them are big donors to athletics. And so they want athletics to do really well. So his point was the university is going to support athletics whether or not John Thrasher's in the president's chair.
Do you have any early indicators of the size of Norvell's budget to fill out his coaching staff and his operations staff, et cetera?
I do not, but I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they're very committed. I mean, at the very least,
they really have no choice at this point. They recognize you can't win on the cheap.
And they're, and again, a guy like Mike Norville, I just don't think if he had other options, and I do think he had other options. I don't think you would take this job if you felt like you couldn't turn around and hire the staff you need. Now, the good thing is he's not a guy because he's a little bit younger than Jimbo, for example, and this isn't this isn't a shot at Jimbo hiring older coaches, but like his contemporaries are younger, so they probably will skew a little bit cheaper than maybe some of the guys that Jimbo wanted to bring in because when Jimbo got to be 50 or so, I mean he's going to be looking at coaches that he came up with are a little bit older than him that are obviously going to be making more money. So if this guy his contemporaries are, in their 30s or maybe early 30s, some in the late 30s, maybe early 40s, you think the salaries might be a little bit better. I still don't think Florida State at the end of the day is going to end up being one of the top 2 or 3 or 4 salary assistant coaches' salaries in the country. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're still in the top 10.
What kind of details were you able to get about that meeting that he had with the team? I read your piece and I talked to a couple of people, but I am curious what you've heard specifically. We know he's such a high energy guy, or he certainly was yesterday. But I like the part about challenging players. I think the players are beyond BS at this point. I think the players are going to want to hear exactly what that plan looks like and whether or not they'll entertain the idea of staying or entering the transfer portal, or whether or not they embrace a hire like this. I think he has to go in right off the bat, and had to have gone in right off the bat and been a straight shooter, even if that meant, ruffling feathers.
Yeah, and I think that's what he did. And I think I think he started off by obviously expressing how happy he is to have the opportunity, and how fortunate he is, and how fortunate they all are to be at Florida State, and letting them know he understands, what Florida State football is all about. But at the same time, letting them know that this isn't going to be easy, and it's not going to be him trying to win them over by being a nice guy. And again, we talked about it a lot. That I do feel like that was one of the things Willie did that backfired on him. And and I think he's letting them know. Now the key is two things. You're probably going to have some resistance to that from some players who are like, "Who are you to come in and question me or challenge me," or something like that. And then as time goes on, the key is he's got to deliver on everything he says, because the players, especially early on, they're going to not test him, but they're going to be watching everything he does. And if he talks a big game about demanding accountability and demanding effort and demanding that they put in all the extra effort and all that stuff, but then they don't see it from him or him holding other people accountable, then it all goes to hell. And so, just as much as, he's got to set the vision, but then he also has to walk the walk, and that'll be how he wins guys over. I'd be shocked if every guy in that locker room walked out thinking, "Oh, this is going to be awesome," because think of all the BS they've dealt with these last 3 years.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
As you mentioned.
You'd be cynical. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're going to be watching him, but, I think he's putting them on notice, and I think he'll continue to as they start to, get into conditioning and practicing for the bowl game. And, not that he's going to be out there running all those drills or running those practices, but I think it's going to be a different agenda out there. Not from what Odell's been doing, but what it's been, on this team for the last 3 years.
All right, so Kenny Dillingham already gets hired. He had worked with Mike Norville previously at Memphis before going to Auburn. Now he comes back and rejoins his former coach as an OC, but we also know Norville is going to be calling plays. That's what he does. Yeah. How quickly do you think we'll hear more names being added to this staff?
Well, I think they're going to be really quick. From what we can gather from from the recruiting side, and that's really the best way to kind of gauge things, I think, at this time. Who's on the road, who's talking to the players, and really there's only 3 or 4 coaches right now that are talking to players. So it seems to send a message that there's a transition taking place. The challenge with that is you can only have 10 coaches on staff, so you can't just hire these new guys and then not let go of the former coaches. Right now they have an opening because Jim Leavitt left. So now maybe that's why you can bring in Dillingham quicker, even though you still have Kendall Briles on staff. But they're going to have to figure out, do Kendall and Randy Clements find another job? Does something work out for them? Or do they have to figure out, is there a way that he could stay? It seems unlikely since Dillingham coaches quarterbacks, and obviously Kendall does as well. Or do they have to, cut them loose and bring in the rest of their staff? So we'll have to see how it plays out. But that's kind of the juggling act that'll happen over these next couple of weeks. Is they're going to want to bring in their guys as quickly as possible, but you also have these guys on staff right now. If you fire guys that have another 2 years left on their contract, then you have to pay it.
Yeah.
If they leave for another job, it's the same dance we saw with Randy Clements, a year ago, where Florida State just waited until Houston finally had to let him go so they didn't have to pay the big buyout.
Well, it's all going to work out, buddy, because here's what's going to happen. Bryles will get that head coaching gig he's been looking for. FAU will give him a call, and then Clements will say, I can't go to FAU. I'm the offensive line coach at Florida State. Why would I leave? There it is. It's all
there you go.
Neatly. I got it worked out for us. I'll talk to you later, buddy. Be well.
See you, Jeff.
All right, take care. So there it is. Actually, that's not a crazy scenario. But I like that he's been through the process of having to put together assistants, as we've noted all throughout the show, and been very successful at doing so. By the end of the week, I think pretty much know our staff.
That would be upheaval at an incredible rate, though, because you have key phone calls and planes to catch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know by the end of the week if it'll all be complete, but I think they have a pretty good idea, and you can't have guys calling on kids that aren't going to be here to coach them.
Early signing day would then be as bonkers as 49ers and Saints yesterday, because you've got new coaches with relationships to kids that we haven't even considered because they've been going to the Auburns of the world, or maybe hopefully the Georgias of the world, or somewhere else. And then you've got kids that we have, just put in ink as part of this signing class that are going to say no at the last second.
Well, let's take a look at Dillingham's kids that he's responsible for, that he has on the hook for Auburn right now, and start to talk about their newfound home here at Florida State. We'll do it next. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
work for you.
One of my favorite things about being a member at Orange Theory Fitness is the sense of community. Initially, after taking the tour and seeing the state-of-the-art equipment, I was intrigued. I became convinced even once I researched the science-backed, technology-tracked, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Chuck Oliver here in Tallahassee. Let's talk college football in the South. Join me every weekday at 1 p.m. right here for wall-to-wall coverage of every big program in the region. Whether it's the ACC or SEC, college football is always on our minds. The conversation happens right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
All right, so Mr. Dillingham, the new OC for Florida State. Wesley Steiner. Who are you, Wesley Steiner, that Dillingham is responsible for? Well, you're an inside linebacker, 6 foot, 220 pounds, 4-star rating. Come on down. Tallahassee it is. Guess you're not going to Auburn. Good job, young man.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Are we going to do this with all these kids? Killian Zierer. He is a JUCO. What are you, Killian Zierer? Oh, well, you're of a great importance. You are an offensive tackle. And a big one. 6'7", 300 pounds. Come on down. Let's
Pay
go.
him. Pay that man his money.
Way to go, Killian. Good to have you in Tallahassee, buddy. Chael Garrett, or Garnett, as he likes to be called since that's his last name. What are you? Well, a dual-threat athlete, 6'1", 205 pounds, 3-star. I don't know. Maybe. If you come, you come. I'm not really worried about you.
No sounder. I wonder.
He didn't get the sounder. All right. Who else are you in touch with, Mr. Dillingham? A kid named J.J. Evans. Who are you, J.J. Evans? Oh, you're a wide receiver. We could use your help, especially a 4-star kid right here, 6'2", 190, a burner. I got you. Come on down, J.J.
Pay
Evans.
him. Pay that man his money.
Good to have you in Tallahassee, buddy. Javion Cohen. Who the hell are you? Well, let's find out. Offensive tackle. Syrup and pancakes on the way.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
That's right. 6'5", 300 pounds, 4-star offensive tackle. Come on down, young man.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Yeah, we did a double. You get double the pot.
I think you do.
Position matters.
I don't know about that. Pancakes. Let's keep it to clean stuff here.
I'm not worried about how. Let's go. Who are you, Avery Jernigan? I like your last name. What do you play? Oh, you're a giant guard on his way to Auburn. 6'3", 284 pounds from right there in Blackshear, Georgia. Come on down to Tallahassee. Nice to meet you, Avery.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
All right. Brendan Coffey, who the hell are you? Let's find out. Oh, you too are an offensive tackle, a JUCO. Come on down, 6'5", 280 pounds. Yes, sir. We'll see you in Tallahassee.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
So Kenny Dillingham, new OC, and for now, elite bagman. Let's get moving.
So we can hope.
That's an awful lot of offensive linemen, my friend.
My hope also is that Coach Norville, maybe Memphis has some basketball ties, right? I mean, he was close to Penny Hardaway when Penny took over the job.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He was a participant in Penny's golf tournament. Maybe basketball connections. Maybe he's worked a couple of basketball connections in basketball country.
Maybe.
Learn some of the tactics,
right there. We're doing
some of the
right
ways.
Hey, oh, yeah.
Those are tactics now.
Those are tactics.
Those are Patino-level tactics.
By the way, if you want a good indicator, this Brendan Coffey kid, he is a hard commit to Auburn. If somehow he switches, you know we're in the money for these other kids.
Soften that commit.
You don't want to go to Auburn, Brendan. You guys can't win the West. Get your ass to Tallahassee. Let's go.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Perfection, or a boneless sliced turkey breast that is smoked or roasted, your family will thank you. Call to reserve your ham or turkey at 205-1426 or visit us online at myhoneybakedstore.com/Tallahassee.
People trust Sellers for better tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Sellers Flooring Advisor Ryan Fitzgerald.
We understand most people don't come in with great knowledge of what they're looking for or what they need. So at Sellers, what we try to do is use our expertise to guide you through the process.
Get Sellers working for you.
We make it easy, and we have the experts on staff to get you where you need to be, and we give you the options.
On Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive. Call 656-8453. Online at sellerstile.com.
This is it, your last chance to give a great holiday gift this decade, but time is ticking. Luckily for you, Dell and Intel have a sale to end 2019 on a high note and kick off the new decade in style. Score new deals every weekday and save big on computers that redefine what's possible with 10th gen Intel Core processors. There's also deals on an amazing selection of the best electronics brands, all with free shipping. If you get moving today, you can get great gifts under the tree in time. Call 800-BUY-DELL. That's 800-BUY-DELL, or visit Dell.com/holiday. Remember to look for Intel.
Hey, Seminole fans, fall is here, and Garnet & Gold has a great selection of brand new FSU fall apparel in stock right now. Long sleeve t-shirts, jackets, fleece, and sweats from brand names like Nike, Champion, and many others. Get your fall on at Garnet & Gold, owned and operated by Seminoles for Seminoles for nearly 40 years at all 3 Garnet & Gold locations, West Pensacola Street, in Killarn near Fresh Market, and on Governor Square Boulevard, or shop online 24/7 at garnetandgold.com. Shop local and go Noles.
I really need a new refrigerator, and I want to get the best deal. But there are so many options, I don't know which one to choose. I wish there was a way to make this simpler.
With so many choices, a major appliance purchase like this can be overwhelming. The City of Tallahassee helps make the choice simple by offering rebates on Energy Star appliances. You can receive up to $300 in rebates on refrigerators, clothes washers, and more. Are you thinking about purchasing and installing a smart thermostat to help minimize your home energy costs? With the city's rebates, you can get up to $100 off eligible options. Stack your savings this holiday season by coupling in-store deals with rebates from the City of Tallahassee. Visit talgov.com/YOU. That's talgov.com/YOU. Or call 850-891-4968 to learn more. That's 850-891-4968.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split 1 order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady isn't going to blame the officiating for yesterday's loss to the Chiefs. Brady told the Greg Hill Show on WEEI 94.7 FM in Boston he doesn't ever make excuses. Certainly never blames the referees. New England had one touchdown taken away on an incorrect ruling from the officials and could have had another TD on a fumble recovery had the play not been ruled dead. One of the issues for the Pats, the offense has struggled for stretches this season. Brady certainly misses the presence of a certain tight end, notes ESPN's Marcus Spears.
I can't help but go back to Rob Gronkowski because you look at all of the teams. Think about San Francisco with Kittle. Think about Pat Mahomes in this game with Travis Kelce. You think about how those guys operate when things are falling apart. They have a security blanket. Tom Brady doesn't have one. And the guys that he's trying to trust aren't showing up for him consistently.
Our Marcus Spears from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Colts kicker Adam Vinatieri will undergo knee surgery and be put on IR. It could mean the end of the 46-year-old's 24-year NFL career. Bears linebacker Roquan Smith will miss the rest of the season with injury. Giants quarterback Eli Manning makes his first start since Week 2 against the Eagles. On Monday Night Football, Manning filling in for the injured Daniel Jones. Coverage 6 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. Despite a 5-7 record, Philadelphia still in the NFC East race, a half game back of the Cowboys. NBA Celtics forward Gordon Hayward went through today's shoot-around with the intention of playing tonight versus the Cavaliers. He's been out since November 9th when he broke a bone in his hand. Meantime, Celtics guard Marcus Smart listed as questionable with an eye infection.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Well, I'll tell you what, my heart wouldn't be broken if, in addition, as we continue to take a good long look at potential candidates to join Mike Norvell's staff, obviously having already brought in Kenny Dillingham, if you're going back to the Greatest Hits show, you may place a call to Dan Lanning, the current defensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs.
You may place one, as in the future?
No, as in it's already been placed. Come on down, Dan. Dan, the best part about Dan, in addition to being good at his job, is that he also coaches linebackers. Will help amongst our linebackers.
Wait. It took about 10 seconds to sink in.
Mm-hmm.
You can coach linebackers?
You're allowed to do it. They can be effective players for your football team. You can have useful linebackers.
That was a very Gruden-like cadence there. Could be very effective players for your football team. Good players.
Yeah, good players indeed. Dan Lanning, come on over. You're making a paltry $750,000 at Georgia. They have led you astray, sir. We will pay you more than that to come operate this defense. And I know Georgia can match, but you'll be coaching with Kirby, not your best friend Mike Norvell. Let's get the band back together.
Plus, you get full credit for running a defense under me. I'm an offensive guy,
That's
remember?
right. That's what I do.
Full
I'm on the
marks.
other side of the ball. You're the guy. You become the guy. All right. There you go. Come on down. That would be something.
Well, then we could do a list with old KGB, right, for Lanning, if he says yes. We'll do the same thing.
We'll go with that list, man. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Draw him up. We bring him in. Lanning joins the team, and we are rolling. It's interesting because I immediately thought of that on Sunday, and then I was reading all these articles about his players, Dan Lanning's players, and how much they love him and how passionate they are about playing for him and how aggressive he is and their style. And I'm like, oh, my God, linebackers that trigger, that run aggressively downhill to make tackles, that recognize and know what to do because they've learned from their position coach.
I need to leave the room. This is uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable. I don't like it.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, these guys seem to know what they're doing.
Well, maybe. We got to watch the West Virginia game, and then the one after that, and then the one after that, and then the one after that.
Yeah, you got to have hosses, man. You got to have players. It's always that, right? The Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's and all that good stuff. It's true. You got to have good players, but the players, no matter who they are, need to know what the hell they're doing. That has been a maddening aspect of what we've watched under Harlan Barnett, is that guys don't know what they're doing.
I get the sense that this guy, if nothing else, right, from his press conference, he is quite aware of what's going on at all times. It's not to say other coaches in our history haven't, but he seems to be the micromanaging type. He just comes off that way. He's got to know every detail of what's going on.
Well, it's your program. You're charged with it. You're the one who's going to be fired if it doesn't go well. You better know damn well everything that's going on within your program and what everybody's doing that you hired them to do. Yes.
Were people surprised that he went from, energetic and excited to straight on, like, yelling mode yesterday?
Yeah, it was funny because...
Did the room change a little bit?
Well, go back to what Ira said at the beginning of the hour. He said, I was kind of caught off guard by that because if you go back and listen to him, if you listen to the speech that I've alluded to several times today, and you go back and listen to interviews that he's done post-practice and all that kind of stuff, you can find, it's the beauty of the internet in situations like this, you can learn an awful lot pretty quickly. He doesn't really do that. Now, he's passionate. He's not monotone. He is a guy that gets fiery when something excites him and he feels a need to become a little bit more boisterous or emphasize a point. Yeah, he does a good job with that, but he's not as, I guess, drill instructor-like as he was in the press conference. But I think part of that is just being fired up about the opportunity. There's no doubt that he is excited. And listen, anybody would be. It's an opportunity to coach at one of the great and iconic programs in all of college football. There's no getting around that. I expected him to be pretty excited. And I expected him to embrace that and show a level of enthusiasm in the press conference as time went on, especially when he talked about his core principles and how they plan to go about the process of improving the product here and how you arrive at a place where you can succeed. It's not just wanting to, it's how we do it, and we laid that out. When you start to lay out those principles, then I expect that to be the case. I expect him to get passionate. But, yeah, I think we were all kind of like, ooh, my man is getting into it here.
Right, and it wasn't just like one sentence for emphasis. It was, he's still going. Okay. Wait a minute. Now he's going to hit on this. Whoa, okay. For those 3 or 5 minutes, whatever they were, anybody who tuned in, they were listening a little bit more intently because if you got two choices. Either you're going to listen to him or you're just going to turn off the feed.
I felt like you could go one or two ways with that. That's true of all these guys who are that impassioned when they speak. I mean, you might look at that and go, okay, whatever, man, I got it. You're pumped up. You're doing the whole preacher politician thing. Got it, Or you could be like, yes, tell me more. Emphatically so. Please, I need this. Inject this into my veins, please, because I've been sleepwalking for 2 years. Come on, man. Let's get fired up. And I think people were more of the latter, certainly. But, it's it was kind of uncomfortable momentarily. I was like, oh, my goodness. What are we going to do in here? By the way, I haven't even mentioned it. El Paso, huh?
The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. That's legitimately the name of the bowl game.
Yeah, and I'm wondering because I haven't in the past, I guess, dedicated and committed to memory any space in my brain for what that prize package is, Tom Lang. Ordinarily, we look at the swag. We do our big segment.
Oh, it's almost time.
It will be forthcoming this week. That is true, but we haven't done it yet. So, all right.
I don't think it's impressive. It may be a belt buckle, maybe some boots. I don't know. There are a couple out there.
A belt buckle and some boots.
Yeah, remember there have been a couple that give you in the state of Texas. You get a big old belt buckle.
Give me the audio of him yesterday talking about special teams, because while we're getting uncomfortable and talking about belt buckles and unbuckling them, special teams, Tom Lang, was the one that I got most excited about, because we've all yearned for some time now, years even, for special teams that care, that matter, that play well.
You're going to see toughness displayed in special teams. I believe that is the backbone of your program. People can talk about offense and defense, but if you want to see a team that has tremendous culture, tremendous passion, tremendous belief in each other, watch them on special teams. I was fortunate that you're coming from Memphis. I remember when I took the job there. It had been 20 years since there had been a kickoff return for a touchdown. I stood in front of that team, and the first thing I told them, I don't know what we're going to do on O, I don't know what we're going to do on D, but I guarantee you we're going to take a kick back to the house for a touchdown. 4 years later, we're the number one team in the country with 11 kickoff returns for touchdowns because of buy-in, because of culture, because of toughness. Young men willing to give them themselves for the betterment of the team. That's what we're going to stand for.
Well, you have to on special teams because you get your clock clean. That's just the nature of the beast in special teams. That's why they made all the adjustments to the rules in special teams. You have to be willing to take and deliver some shots if you're a special teams member. Way back when I could still play the game of football, I too was on special teams, and I didn't love it. People would like to tell you they did. I didn't love it.
Usually that's a hallmark of somebody who's got a
Trying
little
to make
crazy
a
in him.
team, yeah.
Well, no, but somebody's got some crazy in him, like a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He even likes to play special teams. You go, what? Oh, yeah. He loves to be a gunner.
Well, I didn't mind that as much. I hated returns because I was blocking, I wasn't returning. And you when you have to get back and get back, in those days, you created the wedge. Wedges are outlawed now. But that was a recipe for just getting blown up because you're running back and they're charging forward and you turn and get your feet set and it's on. I mean, here we go. But ow.
There ain't no open field cutting, no. No.
That was a toughie. So yeah, you have to be incredibly committed and be willing to sacrifice your body for the betterment of the team. There's no doubt about that. But anyhow, just that attention to detail and a love and passion for special teams. Okay, I was like, okay, you got me.
Just listening back to it, I feel like it's a Sunday morning in a sleepy town in this region of the country.
Oh yeah,
I'm on like 90.3. I'm just looking for music. You know, I'm driving through, passing through, going to Atlanta or something.
That's what you got, right?
You know, you just hear people yelling on the radio. You're like, oh, okay. Preacher over here, preacher over there. That's what this sounds like. You go, whoop, next.
Give me the opening remarks for those that didn't get to hear it yesterday.
I stand before you, humbled and honored to be the head coach at Florida State University. This is a day that is, it's been a wild one. There's been so many emotions, so much excitement, and so many thanks that I must pay tribute to all those that have been a part of making this a reality. And I can tell you that this is an exciting day for Florida State football, the future, and what's to come. And I can tell you that this is going to be an incredible journey. And I am honored to join hand in hand, step by step, with all of the Florida State family.
Yeah, and he gave pause and tribute. He stopped and took his time to acknowledge the seminal greats of yesteryear as well as the more recent successes, and then talked about former coaches and players. No, it was smart. It was a wise move there on his part to certainly embrace that tradition.
Well, and to also thank all high school coaches in the state of Florida.
Buddy.
That's transparent. It's well done.
Good call. Good call.
You know what? People don't do this enough, but I just want to thank the high school coaches.
All of you.
I'll
be in touch with you soon. And you guys, what you do and how you give of yourselves to this great state where the talent is so rich.
As you're building
and
young
developed
men.
by you.
I mean, what you do to advance our society. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Love you.
There ought to be shows on a daily basis for 3 hours about high school coaches and all that they do to better America. And I'm here to say it right here in my opening press conference. I appreciate you and how you changed the lives of these young men. You changed my life. Yeah, that was good.
Wish he cracked up a little bit at himself at that part.
Get a smile.
Because, I mean, it's true for him, but still, it's just, you're going to place it there, are you?
He was reaching out to those coaches. Yep.
I can't wait. Open door policy. You're going to see how we do things here. Yes, you will.
On Twitter at Jay Cameron Show. What day will you be running the now famous Bowl Swag segment? I love listening to it. Usually end up laughing like a drunken fool while you highlight the awesome belt buckle and boots and such for each game. The Sports Business Journal, right?
Yeah, it's usually Sports Business Journal. Multiple people pick it up nowadays.
No, I know
because it's a good click article for a lot of people.
No, it is, and we've been doing it for years. We did it before it got popular to check into, like we did with a lot of other things. But I would say this: that one, I always like the Sports Business Journal because they get thorough. That list is usually comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so when their release comes out, we'll do.
Yeah, we have to set aside time for that. That's usually like
that's a lengthy segment.
That's an hour clock destroyer from my perspective.
It's also, by the way, the lone segment where we will forever still use Jimbo Fisher clips because not enough needs improvement.
Nothing outstanding.
You got it. I mean, it all works there. Absolutely. So it will be, and I will announce it. I'll give you the Bowl Swag segment 2019. Let me see. I wonder if I type that in, what happens? Yeah, right now you're not seeing the gift categorized like you do for a lot of these bowls. It hasn't started yet.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, too, is so many of them have gone to gift suites that you lose a little bit of the pizzazz, but enough of them are just so proud to tell you that kids are going to get a belt buckle.
Every year when we read that, I'm like, what in the hell? You're giving me a belt buckle?
Get a cowboy hat. There you go. Stetson.
So I'm a kid, growing up in South Florida, and you're going to give me a belt buckle?
So you can go line dancing. That's right.
You're going to give me that 10-gallon hat? That's what I have to don this thing? That's what we're doing here?
Give you an extra 2 gallons.
You throw me some boots this way?
How about a 12-gallon?
What am I doing here? I do have the entirety of the list. We haven't even gone through this yet, and I suppose we could look at it here later. But the matchups are upon us, and every bowl game, including ours, right there in good old El Paso, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl on New Year's Eve, actually 2 o'clock in the afternoon, New Year's Eve day, Florida State, Arizona State. What's the matchup you like the most? Alabama, Michigan? Maybe.
Baylor played Georgia. Do I have that right?
I should know that.
It's just interesting because it's styles that kind of mirror one another. That should be a physical,
fun
game
It is Baylor,
to watch.
Georgia at the Sugar Bowl, yes.
I mean, like the answer is Ohio State, Clemson, just for intrigue. And then, of course, a potential national title game of LSU versus Clemson. Unbelievable. That's going to be a lot of fun. But there are a couple of weird ones there where they seem to match team styles up. It's not a battle of styles. It's just who can do it better than the other.
Tennessee and Indiana. Okay. By the way, as an aside, it just broke my heart to see Boston College once again bowling under the tutelage and guidance of the great Steve Adazio. Yeah. They will be Adazio-less when they take on Cincinnati January the 2nd in the Birmingham Bowl.
No rental shoes for Adazio when they go bowling this year.
He'll be off one.
It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Sales reminds you to enjoy responsibly this holiday season. We'll see you Friday, December the 20th.
GT Electric is Tallahassee's premier state-certified electrical contractor. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years, GT Electric offers a variety of electrical services for residential, commercial, and industrial fields, including upgrades, repairs, replacements, and installation. GT Electric also sells and services power generators for commercial buildings, homes, and construction job sites. Call them today at 421-9002. That's 421-9002. Or stop by gtelectricfl.com.
Chuck Oliver here, and Tallahassee, let's talk college football in the South. Join me every weekday at 1 p.m. right here for wall-to-wall coverage of every big program in the region. Whether it's the ACC or SEC, college football is always on our minds. The conversation happens right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
This is it, your last chance to give a great holiday gift this decade, but time is ticking. Luckily for you, Dell and Intel have a sale to end 2019 on a high note and kick off the new decade in style. Score new deals every weekday and save big on computers that redefine what's possible with 10th Gen Intel Core processors. There's also deals on an amazing selection of the best electronics brands, all with free shipping. If you get moving today, you can get great gifts under the tree in time. Call 800-BUY-DELL. That's 800-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/holiday. Remember to look for Intel.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all-day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Nice shot there, Dickie Lang. I'm sure you'll get out of the bunker this time. Here's Cameron from 160. Maybe a 9-iron. No, it's an 8-iron. Probably just hitting it 3/4.
It's the season for some Gordos. La 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 la.
Eddie? What in the world are you doing here? You don't even golf.
Be that as it may, Jeff, my holiday spirit knows no bounds. I come bearing gifts.
Outstanding. What do you have there, sir?
3 gifts. Gold, frankincense, and mahi fingers for all. Gold and frankincense not included.
Very thoughtful of you, Eddie. You don't have to do this, man.
That's what we do, man. This is the holiday season. This is the time when you show the people you love and the people that you care about just how much they mean to you.
You're absolutely right. I'm glad we get to share this with the community together.
Well, that's why I'm here, bud. Well, that. And I want to use that driver you got.
It's par 3, Eddie. Not using the driver.
7!
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hi, this is Peter Bond, owner of Jerry's Cigar Shop. Jerry's has been a local favorite for cigar enthusiasts for the last 25 years. We have the largest walk-in humidors in town, filled to the brim with an amazing cigar selection. Relax in one of our leather chairs and enjoy an ice-cold beer or a glass of wine with your cigar. Jerry's is a great place to watch sports on our big flat-screen TVs and offers a comfortable setting for lively conversation. Visit our original store on Sharer Road or our new second location on Cary Forest Parkway. We hope to see you soon.
Golick and Wingo.
And then the question becomes, has the league caught up to Sean McVay? I mean, he was the wonder kid, right?
Yeah, he was.
And now that offense, 6 points. And the week before that, they struggled to get points against the Bears. Sean McVay, I still think, is going to be a very good coach in the NFL. But right now, they've hit the wall, and it's time to reevaluate.
They have. I mean, again, we point to all these other things and say that, like, has the league caught up to Josh McDaniels is not something we ever really say. We say the Patriots offense is struggling for all reasons that we kind of understand, and I feel like the Rams offense kind of falls into the same category. Sean has failed to adjust in certain ways. I don't want to go that far yet, but he needs to show, all right, if I'm going to be this gifted mind,
we need to see the next chapter. Because, by the way, and they're all heading into this $5 billion stadium.
Yeah, they are.
That is way over budget in a city that you wonder sometimes where is their love for the NFL, and it might be filled in a $5 billion stadium with 2 teams that might not be very good for the next few years.
Golick and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady isn't going to blame the officiating for yesterday's loss to the Chiefs. Brady told the Greg Hill Show on WEEI 94.7 FM in Boston he doesn't ever make excuses, certainly never blames the referees. New England had 1 touchdown taken away on an incorrect ruling from the officials and could have had another TD on a fumble recovery had the play not been ruled dead. One of the issues for the Pats, the offense has struggled for stretches this season. Brady certainly misses the presence of a certain tight end, notes ESPN's Marcus Spears.
I can't help but go back to Rob Gronkowski because you look at all of the teams. Think about San Francisco with Kittle. Think about Pat Mahomes in this game with Travis Kelce. You think about how those guys operate when things are falling apart. They have a security blanket. Tom Brady doesn't have one. And the guys that he's trying to trust aren't showing up for him consistently.
Our Marcus Spears. From ESPN's Adam Schefter, Colts kicker Adam Vinatieri will undergo knee surgery and be put on IR. It could mean the end of the 46-year-old's 24-year NFL career. Bears linebacker Roquan Smith will miss the rest of the season with injury. Giants quarterback Eli Manning makes his first start since Week 2 against the Eagles. On Monday Night Football, Manning filling in for the injured Daniel Jones. Coverage 6 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. Despite a 5-7 record, Philadelphia still in the NFC East race, a half game back of the Cowboys. NBA Celtics forward Gordon Hayward went through today's shoot-around with the intention of playing tonight versus the Cavaliers. He's been out since November 9th when he broke a bone in his hand. Meantime, Celtics guard Marcus Smart listed as questionable with an eye infection.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always great to be with you. I hope you had a great weekend. Hopping in your car. Yep, we've been talking about it. Mike Norville, the new head coach at Florida State, as he begins to assemble his staff. We learn more. First of all, Florida State hired offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham from Auburn. Dillingham having worked with Norvell in the past at Memphis. Spent a year there at Auburn. Now he rejoins his old mate in Coach Norvell here in Tallahassee. Of course, Coach Norvell calls the plays. So Kenny Dillingham will be a coordinator, yes, but not a play caller, and will be a quarterback's coach to boot. And now we learn that Odell Haggins, officially announced by FSU as another hire, of course, and he will also be, in addition to the defensive line coach, a assistant head coach. So good for Odell Haggins. And now we sit and we wait and we watch and we hope that it happens very, very quickly. Obviously, last hour talked with Ira Chappelle about that very thing. He seems to think that all of this will happen quickly. It really is a case where time is of the essence. So he's got to do that, got to find a way to salvage something of a class. That is the hardest part now that these guys take over programs, and you see it. A lot of coaches have been hurt by it. I think Willie Taggart was too. During a time in which the early signing period exists, it makes it awfully difficult, and you suffer from attrition. You basically lose class size and key individuals. You kind of got to settle and scramble and piece together what you can, because you're also putting together a staff, and it's just really difficult to do. And I think we factor that in when we look forward at what Florida State can be next year, the first couple of years of the Norvell era. The press conference yesterday, we've played sound from that today. I was there, had a chance to talk with a lot of members of this of this booster group that was pretty excited about the hire and pretty excited about what the future holds for Florida State. But I mentioned before that I would say that, 6-6, 7-5, something along those lines in year one, I think would be an obtainable goal, but more of a realistic look at where we're at, even if we are excited about the hire. Norvell's background, being that he's just 38 years old, the last 4 years there at Memphis, is a guy that not only has been very successful, he continued the progress that Justin Fuente made there and then improved upon it. And that's key when you're looking to try to evaluate who he is, what he is. He's been a guy that has had success, but improved upon that success. He rose through the ranks rather quickly. He coached under Todd Graham over at Tulsa. He was a wide receiver coach there, and he followed Todd Graham when Graham moved on, both to Pitt and Arizona State. He worked with Gus Malzahn He's 37-15 as a head coach. I talked about the advanced analytics, the S&P Plus numbers. He was 49th, 42nd, 36th, and 13th in his 4 years, so steadily improved there. Does create big plays on offense. A selling point he used yesterday in the press conference, reaching out to skill players, talk about how he puts those guys in a position to succeed. Memphis, over the last 3 years, you measure explosiveness, first, third, and first nationally the last 3 years. That's doing some things. Obviously, that is enticing, one would think, to your elite running backs and wide receivers and tight ends.
Well, I look at, the special team stuff that he brought up, and I think, all right, well, hidden yards. Can we actually win that battle for once as a program?
Be nice.
Because it's been nearly 2 full classes worth of kids that have come and gone, and we weren't able to do that. And I also think if he's detail-oriented and, it's not like he took over a complete rebuild at Memphis. He took over a pretty good program and continued the tradition and maybe, tweaked it a little bit here or there.
Yeah.
But when was the last time we've been better than the sum of our parts as a football team? The championship season? Better than the sum of our parts.
Yeah.
When you could say that, wow, these guys are talented, but they do all the little things that helps them, become a better team, a better product. We were the Dalvin show after Jameis was gone. We weren't better than the sum of our parts. Not even close.
No, we haven't been in a while. So, and if you're building the kind of trust that he's talking about and sacrifice and commitment and, all these things usually portend of a group that is going to play well together, maybe above and beyond the talent that's assembled, because we're going to be lacking when it compares to Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, teams that are competing for national championships. Ultimately, that's where we want to go. We're a ways away from something like that. So you're going to want to see that. In order to put together seasons that you can be excited about, that's going to have to happen. You're absolutely right.
I think that's the goal for year one, is just to don't
be
beat
better
yourself.
Than what you are? Yeah.
He hit on that yesterday in the press conference.
He did. Yeah.
He was asked about it, and he tries to tap dance his way without, really being rude to the former administration. But he says, there were some things where we didn't put ourselves in the best position to succeed. And we'll clean those things up where we, shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. Okay, let's see that, because we haven't seen that in a while. Not in our colors. We've seen other teams do that in our building, on the road. They don't play and beat themselves, but we certainly do, and we have done it consistently. So if he can improve on things like that, yeah, you take 7-5 with the guess that you're going to be competent moving forward. Because even after 1 year, I think you're still guessing a little bit. This is a 2 or 3 year project before we really know what we have.
Yeah, and I think as we watch the staff get assembled, I'm going to be watching closely who he goes to visit, whom he's going to speak to early on in this process. You read that right off the bat, he's going to talk to an offensive lineman right there from Madison, the Herring kid, going to do that pretty quickly. You better procure that one. And then I would think Mr. Sims would be high on the list of people, Jeff Sims, the incoming quarterback, that you would want to make sure is here because, gosh, lost in all this is the truth that we've been lacking at the position, the most critical position on a football team all along. We have not had a good quarterback for in Tallahassee since Jameis Winston left, and it's been infinitely frustrating to watch the inconsistency there. Our inability to to block it up has certainly helped to highlight that fact, but it
ensures that fact is what it does.
Yeah, it does. But then if you're marginal, plus you can't block, this is what you get. You get the wild inconsistencies and frustrations of the last few years. I'm interested to see who he visits, in addition to while we're looking at this staff and who he's going to put together. I think we have a pretty good handle on right off the bat that the connections there, the consistency with which he's identified coaches, evaluated whether or not they'd be a good fit and they could do a job for him, had them come in, succeed, get other jobs, and then be replaced yet again. That is, to me, a really telling sign of great organization and an eye for talent, a real eye for talent as it pertains to coaches.
Yeah, and my hope, too, is, as he's building this staff, and if it is going to happen quick, take a look at the map, talk to those or follow those who know recruiting and know the game for what it is, and then take a look at the Southeast and see what coaches specialize in what areas. Are we broad in our approach here, or are we going to have to connect on the kids without being traditionally connected to the high schools in the state of Florida, or certain gaps? Are there going to be gaps on our map? Or are we going to be covering the whole thing? Does he have a grand plan here of dividing and conquering. This is the best thing Jimbo did, honestly, with the Alpha staff, the first one.
Oh, he figured out that, I got to
split
get
Miami in two,
Yep.
and then Stoops would oversee what's going on in Miami, but he had Grant and Coley one for each county, and then he had a great plan for the DMV area.
Mm-hmm.
And we were awesome in Maryland and D.C. and Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Odell was great in that regard. And then Odell specialized in defensive tackles. Timmy Jernigan says yes. He's from Lake City. But then Eddie Goldman says yes from the aforementioned area. And we also got Ronald Darby from up there. I mean, Jimbo had a plan for all different parts of the country when he first was hired. Then it was just kind of touch and go by the time he was out.
Well,
does this guy have that map?
As that group got worn out by him, then they left him for jobs that were either, in some cases, demotions.
But like we popped up in Texas out of nowhere with Brewster for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, I don't know that you can be as all-encompassing in terms of the blanketing the map like that the way that he did. He did do a good job with that. But remember, one of the reasons that he did that was the recognizing that the talent was just nowhere near where it needed to be elite. So he thought, I'll sacrifice years off my life, perhaps. I'll micromanage everything. I'll teach and coach and call and do all those things. These guys just better be able to recruit their ass off and upgrade what we've got on this roster. And he was willing to do it. It cost him a little bit. Obviously, he drove people into the ground. They ended up leaving. He was tired, and we know a lot of things.
But there was a big-ass treasure chest, not just for us as fans, but for him as a coach.
There was. There's a way to go about it. It would be, hey, listen, so as we're talking about that, we played the clip last hour of special teams and his excitement surrounding it, and I just got done talking about the need to bring in a quarterback. Lest I forget, we ever going to rush the passer again? Tell you what, whoever you bring in here, whatever that coaching staff looks like, please tell me they can get a guy to get after the passer. Good God, man. It just feels so wrong to watch Florida State completely inept, completely impotent to get after a quarterback.
He said it yesterday. It's a new age, man. Hey, maybe that new age means we rush the passer around here once again.
Well, it helps. I mean, it helps. You just look around the country, you look at the teams that made it to the college football playoff, and you see the number of players that can get after the freaking quarterback. Because pretty much when you play good teams, they all have good quarterbacks, and if you give them time to throw, you're dead. All right. I'm not saying anything we don't already know.
We are deficient in many areas.
Hence, figure out what's a reasonable expectation for next season.
I would like if Coburn sat down across from, now, Coach, as you may or may not be aware, we are deficient in many areas. What is your plan, line by line, for addressing these deficiencies that we have in many areas?
And are you aware of those deficiencies?
Discuss.
Let's start with offensive line. We've been starting there each year for the last 5.
But that's the only one we'll give you. Now you have to tell us the rest.
Tell us the other areas. He's thinking about, can I insult them? Should I? I don't want to say, well, you guys have sucked at this, this, and this. Like, you guys are terrible on special teams. You haven't rushed the passer in years. You still don't have a quarterback. Are you guys getting angry at me? I mean.
It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Everywhere you look. For location hours and menu, head to cptallybar.com. Whether you're feeling the upstairs at the Corner Pocket or lounging down at the 7th Hill Tap Room, your game day is always covered. 2475 Appalachie Parkway, right next to Earth Fair. GT Electric is Tallahassee's premier state-certified electrical contractor. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years, GT Electric offers a variety of electrical services for residential, commercial, and industrial fields, including upgrades, repairs, replacements, and installation. GT Electric also sells and services power generators for commercial buildings, homes, and construction job sites. Call them today at 421-9002. That's 421-9002. Or stop by gtelectricfl.com.
Lane's Medical Shop has all of your home medical needs. They carry home oxygen, hospital beds, nebulizers, walkers, wheelchairs, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and all sleep apnea supplies. Lane's also has a weight loss clinic in-house, no appointment necessary, including B12 injections and any prescriptions necessary with the lowest prices around, and delivers to Tallahassee in South Georgia. Located only 40 miles from Tallahassee, go see Blake today, 210 West Main Street, Colquitt, Georgia, 229-758-9111.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split one order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Amazing. It's kind of like being showered with cash from above, which would also be pretty amazing. It's so amazing that millions of people a year are getting their cash back matched. They just can't get enough. So whether it's raining down on your head or raining into your bank account, it's your cash back, and Discover is matching it. Discover Cashback Match. What are you waiting for? Learn more at discover.com/match.
This is Wesley's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
When I'm just getting off work, there's only so many hours left in the day, so I definitely don't want to spend all my time waiting in line for car parts. With O'Reilly, I can buy the parts I need online and pick them up on my way home. It's so quick and easy, I don't have to worry about losing daylight to get my car up and running.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
The Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Big store pricing with local service. Online at ctf.nu.
Of interesting games yesterday, not the least of which was that 49ers-Saints game. My goodness gracious.
Between Tampa and New Orleans, the 1 o'clock slate was on crack.
It was nuts watching that play out. I couldn't help. I mean, every time I looked up at that New Orleans-San Francisco game, this is incredible. This has everything you want except for defense, but that thing became a track meet instantly.
It made no sense.
No sense. Both those defenses are really good. That just became a track meet immediately, and it was oddly exciting, mesmerizing to watch. And you're right, and of course our game.
Yeah, Shanahan and Peyton brought it, man.
Oh, they were
both feeling it. I'll bet they hated that the other was having, legendary day himself.
I'm sure.
What the hell of all days?
Look,
I had the game plan and game plans.
I had you. But you brought it to, okay, all right, you're in. Both are locked in.
It's like, Will Ferrell, you're crazy, man.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
That pissed me. I mean, if you had the under there, that was.
Did San Francisco clear it by themselves?
It both did. It was blown out. It was blown out of the water within a few minutes of the game starting. You're like, what? Okay, that was a poor bet. That was a poor bet on my part.
I had Drew Brees on my bench, and I'm like, wow, he's got 3 touchdowns in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Great.
Okay. Well, maybe they'll get the big 3-score lead, and then it's not that bad of a.
Nope.
How about 50 points? Okay, great.
So the oddity was that yesterday was also Jameis Winston's career in a nutshell throughout the day. And the talking points are fascinating here. He became the number 1 all-time career passing yards leader by the age of 26. Nobody's ever thrown for more yards in the start of their career by the age of 26 than Jameis Winston has in the history of the National Football League. Yesterday, I think he threw his 111th, 112th touchdown pass of his young career. Second fastest in the history of football to ever do that. And I can go on because these numbers are mounting now. He's got a chance to throw for 4,500, 4,700 yards, if not more this year.
Oh, he could flirt with 5,000 if he has a big game this weekend. Yeah.
5,000 yards. He got a chance to end the year with the most touchdowns and interceptions simultaneously, most passing yards for sure. It's insane.
Yeah, Corey Clark's dream is his season to be a 30-30 touchdown interception season, and that's still in play.
Yeah, it's rather remarkable just to watch. There's the greatness, and it will be on display for quarter and a half where you're like, there's nobody better right now throwing the ball down the field. And then, an asinine decision, and you go, oh, my man, we're kind of undoing all the greatness we just did for 2 quarters or a quarter. Or it's really, really remarkable.
It is. It's the total roller coaster. The greatest roller coaster I've ever seen.
Oh, it's mesmerizing. Hey, listen, Boomer Esiason, I don't care anything about Boomer Esiason, but if you listen to the folks on CBS yesterday, they're like, this is the greatest thing to watch on television. He goes, there's no quarterback I want to watch more than that guy. It was funny. Phil Simms was bringing it up, too. He said something to the effect of, he goes, I can't keep my eyes off the Bucs. Every week I have to watch Tampa Bay. Bill Simmons has been saying this for 2 years, that there's nobody more exciting in the game besides Patrick Mahomes. They're not wrong. I mean, we watch the Bucs every week. I would rather do without some of the drama, but every time I'm ready to wash my hands of Jameis, he plays like the best quarterback in the league. And then just when I'm there to say, okay, he's a top 10 quarterback, we got to move forward with this guy. You can't put up those kinds of numbers and then walk away from that. He does something crazy that, he has the game like he did out in London, or he has the pick six or something, and you go, oh, good God, I can't.
Oh,
what are we going to do?
The freaking drive with the pick six yesterday is he's doing everything by himself. He only got sacked one time yesterday by sheer force of will. Mm-hmm. That dude got hit how many times? How many times did he escape contact to make a throw?
Yeah, he's playing with a broken thumb. They lose Dotson. They lose Evans early. He's got 3 healthy receivers for the entirety of the game, basically. Obviously, O.J. Howard's a disappointment. So
he was bigger yesterday, though. He played well.
Better yesterday. But, I mean, it's really a remarkable performance. The one that's off Perryman's hands, I don't worry about. That's just
it's a little behind them.
Well, it is, but every tip ball doesn't have to get picked. It does in his case, apparently.
The pick six is evil, though, because that's a blitz, and Leonard gets stonewalled, and he decides to drop back in coverage.
I think it was his own blitz. I mean, he drops back on his own there.
No, but he engages the center before he drops back. I mean, that's evil. That's different than the first pick of the game, which is
guy's a Pro
you just
Bowler,
didn't see
too.
him. You just didn't freaking see the guy.
No.
The second one is, all right, if you're going to engage the center, I'm making a guess here that you're coming. You're trying to make a play at me instead of trying to drop back and cut off a hot route.
He's a Pro Bowler. He's a really good player.
But
I mean, that happened. I kind of went, well.
The thing that's different about Jameis this year, personally, I don't know if you feel the same way.
He rebounds from all those mistakes.
Well, that's different. Yes. We've established that because last year, the Cleveland-Cincinnati, he was afraid. And he says it's because of the belief in the coaches, and I think it's empirically true. You can look at a coaching staff that pouts and a coaching staff that says keep going, and the difference it has in him and the way he plays. But the one thing I'm starting to think now, too, especially after watching the throw to Evans yesterday, he's now starting to more routinely make the throw down the sideline.
The ball is infinitely better in the second half of the season.
He's a better quarterback throw for throw than he's ever been at the pro level. He's making some throws that are reserved for the elite in the NFL. I don't know that I've always felt that way. I felt like, well, he makes some great anticipatory throws, but he doesn't make like the stupid throws where I go, who does
did
that?
Yesterday. The throw to Howard, by the way, though, on the deep ball on the left side is as good a throw as you'll see because he's got to get it over.
How about the throw to Perryman to take the lead? That's evil, too.
Tons of them.
His best throws now are better than they've ever been.
One thing to note, a couple things here. And again, he's obviously, you can't have all these interceptions. But this is one of only 3 offenses in the league that is so vertical. Everything is vertical. They push the ball down the field. The Chargers do it. The Falcons do it. Rivers has a ton of interceptions, and Ryan hasn't had a great year. Well, the numbers are good, but they aren't winning. Yeah. So anyhow, those are 2 good quarterbacks, though. We would say that. Winston came into the league at a time he keeps getting compared to Peyton Manning. And I understand Peyton's in the Hall of Fame and all that other stuff, But in terms of interceptions, their numbers through the same period of time is the same. Their 61% accuracy, the touchdown passes, Jameis has more, all that stuff. But remember, Peyton went to college for 4. Jameis is still 26 years old, still really young. And there is no run game in Tampa Bay with any consistency, and it is a below-average offensive line. You brought up the sack statistics. They don't run the ball. They don't even try to run the ball half the time.
Oh, they said screw it yesterday.
No, they
Most certainly.
But they do it all the time. They say screw it. I mean, they do it all the time. So I just wonder if we wouldn't see a significant decrease in interceptions if you didn't make the man throw the ball 45 to 50 times a game and run an offense that is predicated on getting the ball down the field.
Well, and given his propensity to take chances on top of that.
He's going to throw interceptions.
If you're a risky guy and I'm taking 50 risks instead of 27, what's going to happen?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. If you make him throw the ball 50 times and he's a gunslinger, you're going to throw picks.
Yeah.
You're going to throw picks. You're also going to make some eye-popping plays that very few people in the league can make. That's how you throw for 450 yards in a game and 4 touchdowns.
Well, it's been a refrain in these hallways for how long now? A couple months? Said, your hope is he's Favre. You just hope he's Favre. And maybe he grows out of that and past it. But if he could be Favre, where the great moments – like yesterday was I wouldn't say it's completely like a volume scoring game for him, if I was to liken it to an NBA, because his efficiency is off the charts. If you look at his completion percentage, it's right around 75.
Well, he was 20 of 29 in the first half for 277 yards.
But it's like, I don't know that Jameis can arrive at 5 total touchdowns without turning the ball over 3 times right now. I think in order for him to get there, he's got to turn it over a bunch.
Well, or you're making somebody throw it again 40 to 50 times, and you've completely given up on the run. It's a weird deal.
Hey, Justin Watson can play. How about that? Who effing knew?
I know. I would say this. Every week when we do this referendum, I think we're moving closer to them not moving on. I think they're going to
It's a franchise or a short term. I don't think it's the full long term.
No.
Full Monty.
No, I don't think it is either. I don't think get the man a better line, run the ball with more consistency. Let's ask him to throw it 30 times a game, not 50.
I think he lost the game twice yesterday, and he won it 4 times. That's what his record yesterday was 4-2.
It was bizarre. Yeah, there were several times where I went, we're going to lose. And then the next possession, doom, laser touchdown.
So my one buddy in St. Pete, he's like, "Can we pull the plug?" After the big miss, so to speak. And I was like, "Well, listen, he's plus 105 to lead us back and win this game. Do you want those odds?"
Yeah,
he didn't take them.
After
the game, I was like, "You wish you took those plus 105." Yeah.
Oh well, we all have it. I mean, we have this love-hate text-a-thon with all of our fellow Bucs fans. Like, that's it, I'm done. Oh my God, that's the best throw of the year. Okay, we can't continue with this. This is the worst. I've never seen a quarterback make a throw that well. I mean, it's just that's what he is every week.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Back, technology track, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Florida State basketball team has one of the best records in the nation at home the last 3 years. The Tucker Center is a house of horrors for opponents. Don't miss the best ticket in town, the ACC Pack. Come see the nation's best basketball right here in Tallahassee as the Noles host North Carolina, Virginia, Louisville, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Miami, and more inside the Tucker Center. College basketball is taking the capital by storm. Don't get left out. Purchase your ACC Pack today. Call 888-FSU-NOLE or visit Seminoles.com today.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
My friends, the holiday season is here again, and it gives us a chance to give back to our community in need. You know what that means. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show Holiday Bowling Tournament benefiting the children of the Guardian Ad Litem. This year's Jeff Cameron Show Holiday Bowling Tournament is sponsored by our friends at Triangle Sales, and it will be held on December the 20th at Capitol Lanes. Arrive at 6:30 for food and grab your shoes because the rocks start rolling at 7 p.m. Go to ESPNTallahassee.com for tournament information and to sign up your team right now. This year, we have up to 20 teams available. So come join us for a fun night of bowling that supports the children of the Guardian Ad Litem. Big thank you to this year's sponsor, Triangle Sales, who reminds you to enjoy responsibly this holiday season. We'll see you Friday, December the 20th.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
All right, it's not a great game, but it is football, and I'll watch. I know I'm not doing a good job of selling it, Tom Lang. But we've got it for you tonight. Giants, Philadelphia, 8:15. They couldn't have flexed out of this somehow. We can't. What are we doing?
You can't flex a Monday game.
You got to get better than that, NFL. Flex out of these games. Why am I watching two teams that have combined to win 7 games? They both suck to high heaven. No.
You are watching a division champion play tonight, buddy. That's
Perhaps,
what you're watching.
Perhaps. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. That's crazy. Damn it, man. It's brutal. This feels like I'm forced to watch like Cincinnati play or something. The Giants 2-win ass and Eli Manning. You know, by the way, if Eli loses tonight, I know it's a team game, but his career record will be under 500.
Oh, wow. That's brutal.
Yeah. There you go. Get you some of that.
So not only did their coach a couple of years ago go out of his way to bench him for no good reason.
Oh, the end of his career
and his consecutive start streak.
Yeah.
Just to start him the rest of the way.
Just bizarre.
I mean, so this would be the insult to injury, yeah.
Yeah, come on back. Come get your ass beaten.
Well, and the Eli trolls and Eli haters around the country, you know, they could say for years, well, he's an under 500 quarterback for his career.
The number's the number. I mean, it's a shame. Quarterback wins is not a thing, I know, but he's probably the most average-ass 2-time Super Bowl winner ever at a really important position.
Yeah, I don't know that you could find a better one.
I mean,
outside of, the 60s.
Yeah.
Maybe some of those guys.
It's really amazing. But the thing about those runs is that he'll be forever enshrined in the memories of Giants fans in a positive way because he had to win on the road. He won in inclement weather on the road, big moments. I mean, he made plays. He didn't do that week to week throughout his career, but he did in the postseason when he needed to.
And he was the anti-Brady.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking for consistency, right, you're looking for Tom Brady. If you're looking for sporadicness, you got Eli Manning.
You do. You absolutely do. But that's the game tonight. And, hey, listen, it's fine. We have a coach. We have a coach in Tallahassee. Mike Norville is out, hopefully solving our problems as we speak by making sure the best of the best in the transfer portal and JUCO ranks on the offensive line are saying yes. They're being convinced in a way that they never thought imaginable. They are saying yes to Tallahassee.
I haven't been doing the transfer portal noise because I thought it was just going to get a huge workout for the the wrong reasons. As in, like the buzzer was going to be broken or the sound,
sound.
just because it's always on. At some point, the sound goes away. But maybe it gets a return.
This guy, as we talked about throughout the show today, off and on, has a chance to perhaps minimize what I thought would be a mass exodus. Because again, I do think his backstory is relatable for a lot of kids. Obviously, for those that weren't listening earlier, I mean, this is a guy that football, in a weird way, at least from a male structure, really kind of raised him. His mom had him when he was 16 years old. He said in last year, and many people have heard the podcast, I know you have, that basically there were men that came in and out, kind of playing the role of stepdad in his life. Lots of different guys, obviously, if your mom has you at 16. So there's instability there, and then he finds it in football, and he finds role models and leadership and guidance from male role models in the game of football. And that's a really relatable story when you're talking to kids from broken homes, recruits all over the country. It is. And I think there's an opportunity there to perhaps sit down and kind of convince kids that maybe it's worth sticking around or coming to Florida State. I talked to Andy Staples yesterday of The Athletic, formerly of Sports Illustrated, and he talked about one of the things that's a good indicator for Florida State that they might have got a guy here that's up and coming big time is that it's really hard to recruit in this in Memphis, Tennessee, because you're surrounded by SEC powers. So any kid that's any good, they come in and they take them. There are 5 SEC schools right there. And it's a nasty business trying to keep kids in Memphis, and usually you fail. And he was able to successfully do so. That his vision, his pitch, won over a lot of kids. And he thought that if you can recruit in Memphis, quote unquote, from Andy, you can recruit. Period. So okay,
he's a compelling pitch man.
Okay. Oh, there's no doubt about that. You got to have that.
Keep pitching. Whatever you're pitching, keep pitching it.
Well, it's not just the pitch, man. You better have some structure, and you better have
infrastructure.
You got to have guys to help out. You got to have guys that understand what it takes to win in the state of Florida. So as we watch these hires and we watch closely as he puts together the staff, we'll see who all he brings in, what kind of ties do they have to recruiting in the high school ranks in the state of Florida. And, I think there's an edge to Coach Norville. And when I say that, I mean that as a compliment. That was my concern about Matt Campbell. It's a weirdest damn thing, and it does tell you how seedy the world of college football can be. But when I spoke to a disparate group of people over the course of the last 2 weeks about the potential of Matt Campbell coming here, they said, very good football coach, awfully nice guy, really nice guy, might be man of his word, might be a guy that wouldn't be willing to get down in the muck and recruit the way that you got to recruit.
Like Dabo, who is above reproach, right?
So I have a suspicion Mike Norville will do what's necessary to stockpile very good football players.
I don't have any doubt. Within 5 minutes of listening to the podcast, to say nothing of yesterday's presser, I thought, well, this guy speaks before large crowds very well.
Yes.
Typically, people who speak before large crowds very well know how to handle stuff.
Yeah. Well, they're a lot of times they're politicians, and
usually they handle things quite well. If you could speak before large crowds very well.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I do think, as we said earlier, that you got a guy with a ton of energy, and whenever you want the opposite of what you just left, we talk about that all the time. That's true. It happens in the pros all the time. It happens in college. When it comes to coaching, if you have a disciplinarian and over-the-top militaristic guy, then a lot of times the next guy you bring in is this player's coach. He's kind of a friendly, familiar face, and his arm is around you, and he's a family, folksy guy. And sometimes that works. But when that goes south, what do? You bring in a guy who's a disciplinarian. You bring in a guy who is militaristic. You do bring in a guy that is going to set the stage and have strict guidelines for how you work. And that's what this guy seems to be. And if you're going to talk about a lack of organization, a pervasive and frequent comment made about the last group, I don't think that's going to be a problem here. Whether it works or not, we'll find out, but I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, well, he's got to have drill sergeants, though. the militaristic thing, he speaks like a general. I don't know how he is on the ground. Jimbo was both a general and a drill sergeant. More of like a spastic drill sergeant, really, with the headman's title.
Right.
But you got to have people on the ground to enforce that. And that's, of course, what we'll be watching very, very closely in the coming weeks. If we're poaching somebody that might be playing in a high-profile bowl game or perhaps a playoff game, then maybe we don't hear that name until early January. But I do want to see how he builds this staff. Certainly, I was shocked to see that the offensive coordinator hire was at least leaked to the press earlier today.
Yeah,
I didn't expect much of anything like that.
That happened really quick, and obviously they worked together at Memphis before Dillingham went to Auburn. And then once once Norville got this job and he called his friend again, he said, yes, I'm on my way. So right off the bat, you bring in a guy that came in from Auburn. They all had ties together, by the way, whether that be Gus Malzahn, Dillingham, or Norville. They've all worked together. So,
he thanked Gus. He's one of the first, if not the first name that he thanked beyond his high school coaches.
Well, if you go back to the podcast that we're referencing that's out there where he spoke to the AFCA, he's talked a lot about getting a start and learning what it takes and really being on the ready because of guys like him and obviously Todd Graham, who's a defensive-minded coach. But when he got his shot, it was with Malzahn, and he wanted to learn everything he could. And there's no doubt about this. Like, if you're going to get excited about something, get excited about how quickly he rose through the ranks through lots of different, stops. Obviously, when you think about his time at, whether it be at Memphis or prior to that, whether you're looking at Tulsa or Arizona State or even Pitt, I mean, he's a guy that's, quickly risen to a place where a lot of people recognized early on that guy's going to be a head coach. You don't become the youngest head coach in college football at the time, 34 years of age when he took over at Memphis for Justin Fuente. You don't become that if a lot of people haven't identified you and vetted you in terms of your expertise and your ability to lead. That just doesn't happen. So will it work here? We're all jaded enough to know that the resume may suggest it's going to, but a lot of other factors play into it. So we'll wait and see, and we'll clicky pin this thing just like we did before. I got you. But I am excited about the bona fides with this guy, and I'm excited because we've had people that don't give a rip about Florida State reach out to us and say, people who work in the industry, people who either cover college football, work within college football, reach out to us and say, you got a good guy. You got a guy that's, he's an up-and-comer. And these are people that don't care one iota about Florida State.
No, it's universal, too. I haven't gotten a bad one yet.
I'm sure it's out there, but...
For Willie, there was a little bit of a dissenting opinion once we got him, and I thought, the hell with you. I know better.
Me too.
The dissenters were correct.
Yeah.
You were correct in that case. This time it's, dude, you don't say he gets out-coached. That's the first one I got. I've been to some Memphis games. I thought, well, how obscure. You've been to some Memphis games. But he doesn't get out-coached. Right. You don't ever walk out of the stadium thinking, well, they had something for him he didn't expect.
Yeah, you can get beat. You can get beat because you're not good enough or whatever, or the other team executes better or whatever it might be, but it's not because you're overwhelmed and outmaneuvered.
We do need details. We do need to be detail-oriented here, please.
Well, and I think that obviously when they sat down across from him and interviewed him, I'm talking about President Thrasher and Athletic Director David Coburn, I think that probably, if you will, for lack of a better term, leapt off the page. That must have been the very thing that struck them immediately, is how detail-oriented he was and how organized he was. Coming from what we just saw, that would resonate. That would certainly strike you immediately. Okay, so we have a buttoned-up plan, and here's how it gets done. Okay, please continue, sir, please. At that point, check. It's, again, we'll see. We're going to see. It's only going to take time now. And I warned, and I said it in hour one, and I'm saying it now. Do not expect, in my opinion, this to be a huge success early. I just don't know how it can be. Now, I'm going to watch carefully, just like the rest of us, the transfer portal. I'm going to watch for, grad transfers, JUCO-ranked kids, how many kids come over from Memphis, what guys he brings in and what recruits. Because if you recall, we did have the situation when Jeremy Pruitt came in as DC. He immediately brought us two studs. We couldn't have known it at the time, but Jalen Ramsey came over because of him, and Walker came over because of him, and all of a sudden you had two dominant players follow along. Now let's see what kinds of guys do the same. We'll see. That was a little bit different period in time. We didn't have the early signing period like we do now, which has turned out to be the death of these coaches early on.
Well, which is why the hiring of an offensive coordinator who's tied to some offensive linemen, a JUCO, an inside linebacker you listed it out earlier, but it's important that you do that now with a little over a week before the early signing date to at least even delay the decision. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah,
have the kids delay the decision to February.
Just hold on.
Take a second look at the thing.
Right, yeah. So far, what we've learned are these best classes are usually comprised of the kids that sign early, the kids that say yes early in the process. And that's why you're at such a detriment when you do something like Florida State just did, or Arkansas or anybody else, Ole Miss, where you fire a guy relatively quickly during this day and age where early signing periods exist. There's attrition that's going to take place, and it's going to hurt you. That transition is made that much more difficult because of this now. And so I just project a little bit here. When I look at something like West Virginia on the road against Boise, you're a million miles from Clemson where you can compete with them.
Yep.
You've got Florida who's way ahead of you right now. You're a road game against a Louisville program who has a head start right now. And
it's interesting. That game's real interesting now.
They're moving in the right direction. And, so you've got – I'm not saying you will lose all those games, but it's easy to see 6-6. It really is. And nobody wants to hear that the day after you hire a coach. But I'm just saying my mind is going to be there as we start this season. I want to – now maybe obviously just having solid structure, some sort of tangible plan, a cohesiveness and understanding of where to be.
Development through practice.
Well, developing, but more importantly, knowing where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not playing for Harlan Barnett. Maybe these are all things that can get you to 7 wins in year one, perhaps. But our roster's lacking. So this isn't just about like, okay, well, now they're going to have a coach and plan. Great, they're going to win a bunch of games because the ACC sucks. ACC does suck. For the most part, it does. But we're lacking players, playmakers.
We do have more players or playmakers, at least playmakers. I'm not talking about trench warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than most of the teams in the Atlantic. And certainly, I'd say Pitt might be close next year because they have a quarterback with experience. He'll be a sophomore, highly touted kid. And then obviously their defensive principles are kind of locked in there. That's going to be a really interesting game. But I don't know. I'm not thinking about 6 losses right now. I'm thinking about pancakes. I'm thinking about, is he half as compelling in a living room as he is in front of 150 people? Because if that's the case, we've got a chance here. And so I'll focus on the W's and L's later, but for now it's, all right, we could bring in maybe a surprise 2 or 3 kids on top of the good ones we already have. Can you convince kids to delay decisions that are committed to Auburn currently? Can you at least convince some of the kids that decommitted from us last week to delay the signing on early signing day, like the Griff's kid for Louisville or Green, the linebacker who decommitted, or Jalen Knighton who committed elsewhere? Can you tell them, hey, man, give me 2 months, give me 6 weeks?
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying you can't sign there. Give me a chance. Give me a fighting chance here. I know it's frustrating. This was always going to happen. You're going to lose guys when you go through this kind of upheaval. This is a radical departure. You just fired a guy in 21 games. This is what's gonna happen. You get kids getting real nervous. They say they're a mess down there in Tallahassee. They have been for 3 years. I see stability over here. I'm gonna get a head start on that. I get it. We've made it very difficult to choose us, and so he's up against an awful lot right now. Even if he's the greatest coach since sliced bread, even if that turns out to be true, he's got a huge mountain to climb here because of the attrition, and I don't think it's reasonable at this point. Now, you can expect improvement, and we're going to be looking for it. These are the things that began to get us concerned with Coach Taggart was that, all right, I understand we're not very good right now. We're probably going to be pretty bad. All right, that the first year, you kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt, but then when things remain status quo and stagnant, you went, okay, nothing's getting better. Nothing's improving at all.
Well, behind the scenes, certainly.
That's what I mean, behind the scenes.
The team was tougher this year, and I thought maybe they could – well, they didn't, though.
They did not.
And here we are.
You excited? Is that the right way to describe it? I think we're all beat up enough now, having gone through one of these finally. I mean, it's true. As a fan base, we really haven't been through this kind of, rocky road where we we were absolutely the picture of stability. Think about, for the longest time, the way things were in Tallahassee with Coach Bowden. And even when things went south, you had a familiar figure, beloved as he was. The transition happens to Jimbo, who's already on staff. And immediately things begin to improve to the point where you win 29 straight and win a national title. And, you're thinking about, God, that's 40 years of for the most part, real stability. And then all of a sudden you going through what a lot of other programs have been through before. And so clearly you can see the way that we react as a fan base to it's.
I think the word I'd use is relieved. I'm just relieved. Because I had a hard time envisioning covering spring ball if we had the same staff year over year. So the fact that we have something new, listen, this may not work out either, but at least it ain't the same thing, because I knew where that plane was going, but thankfully we all had parachutes and we got out of that plane before it crashed on the side of the mountain. Like in a big way, a way that sets you back a decade. So maybe this plane is a better plane. Maybe it lands at a place
safely,
a land of milk and honey. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this guy might use a couple of images just like that in living rooms to get people from A to B, to make sure they come to Tallahassee. But at least it's something new, and at least he sounds different. It may not work, though. It may be just the same. It's we got a Miami streak going on. We can't get the right guy. But at least there's hope for it about getting it right.
I felt good walking out of covering that press conference yesterday. I felt like, listen, short of a guarantee, which is all what we want, we all want a guarantee. Everybody wants to know that after having gone through 3.5 years of bad football, that we're going to get it right and that things are going to turn for the better. You wanted to walk out of there believing, and I understand that. I'm kind of fighting myself with that, saying, listen, you're bound to want to buy in and believe right off the bat, but do your research and do your due diligence. There are no guarantees. They don't exist. You're not, short of Saban, probably Meyer, people like that, you don't have a guarantee. So eliminate that. Understand there's going to be some doubt that comes with every coach, and some good and some bad. But what you do is you try to eliminate percentages, right? Do you give yourself, it's just like the draft. We talk about, no sure things when you go into the draft if you're taking a quarterback. But a lot of guys we thought were going to be sure things. Most of the time they're not. But you try to eliminate risk. You're trying to eliminate, certain variables that will not allow you to succeed. And I think we did that with this hire. I think you found a guy that is proven to be able to identify talent within a coaching rank. And that is huge, because when you're looking for somebody to succeed, you want to know that they can organize a group and identify talent that's up and coming. And when you have double-digit coaches in the span of 4 years go on to bigger and better jobs, it means you did a very good job of identifying rising talent.
Yeah, he dropped 26 in 2 years. I think it was his number in the presser. That means you got some friends you can call back now and say,
he already
hey,
did.
Remember me? Well,
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But there are more.
Yeah. No, you can. That's true. And that was the number one thing that gave me some reassurance, was that he's put together staffs and lost guys critical to his operation that went on to bigger and better jobs or better opportunities. They were ascending, and then he identified a new candidate, vetted said candidate, brought him in, and the program continued to excel. That's huge. He didn't just sustain the Fuentes success. He bettered the program each year he was there, and he had to do it while replacing vital pieces to his operation. So that is a really good, I think, sign of things to come, because if you're going to put together a staff, we know coaches are only as good as the staff they put together. See Dabo. Dabo's a pitch man.
Yeah. Congrats to Jeff Scott. Good luck at USF.
Yeah.
Now, if Mr. Elliott wants to head somewhere, anywhere.
Oh, it'd be great.
That'd be interesting.
Well, it'd be good to get a lot of people out of there.
Well, it means more no's to Clemson for the recruiting class. Even if it's 2 or 3, it makes a difference.
Yeah, no, I'm with
10% of a class.
Well, we can all hope. We can all.
Let's just start poaching, baby.
Everybody
Let's
take it
start
on.
poaching.
Take it on.
We got a
down
Georgia
the
D
road.
coordinator and an Auburn OC. Yeah, maybe get some yeses you didn't expect.
I'm with you. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody, tonight, Monday Night Football. Our friends at Jerry Cigar says thank you. Go to jerrycigars.com. Get you a fat stogie. And you can't get a beer on the line, but you can if you go by the actual store.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The brick and mortar, they have the beer.
Brick and mortar beers. There's no virtual beers. There's
no virtual
Bitcoin,
beers.
but not bit beer.
Yeah. No. But anyhow, thanks to Jerry's. As always, enjoy the football tonight, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Be well.